to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down Infamous.
Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
This is Parker. Go by Twig on forums.
This is Jeremy. Hashtag try Netrunner. You won't be disappointed.
Go to eBay and buy Netrunner cards.
Buy them.
and then drive to Kansas City and play Netrunner with us.
Mm-hmm. With the last
All right.
bastion, an island.
Yep. Quick announcements. We have two announcements today. One is a normal announcement, and one is a secret announcement
Ooh,
that we will
super
reveal
secret.
later in the podcast when Parker says the mystery word. Let me see. I'm gonna write down the mystery word now. All right, it's written down. If you guys want to check, you can. So the first one is Parker. Can you guess it?
My probation.
Probation continues.
Yeah.
Parker has 9 more episodes of probation left.
Mm-hmm.
Although
and then
after
I'm thinking
today, which Parker was unable to show up for the podcast, so we had to do it at the crack of 3 a.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, is pretty stupid. So let's continue. Parker, you have the next segment.
All right. It's the news.
News.
So,
News,
some
news,
news that went
news.
really quiet,
News!
really quietly under the radar. We got some news. The affiliation list was silently updated on Thursday when they released some of the new models. Although the affiliations that were updated were not for the new models; they were for the upcoming ones later in June. So we have. We know where a lot of the spider people and the spider foes are going to also be in. So we know that Mysterio is, of course, a spider foe, but he is also going to be a member of Cabal. So there's that. We know that Kraven the Hunter is going to be a spider foe now, for sure. And he's also going to be in Criminal Syndicate.
Yay, a 3-pointer.
There you go. We know that the Lizard was going to be a spider foe, and that's what he is. That's all he's got.
I was like, I don't think he's into. I do think it's interesting how many of the Web Warriors are in Web Warrior enemy factions.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Finally, we have the Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man will be a defender as well as a Web Warrior, which we saw coming because he had the leadership ability. And finally,
Surprise!
Yep. And finally, we knew the Black Cat was already in Criminals and Spider Foes, but now she's... wait, no, she's not in Spider Foes. Yeah, she's just in Criminals.
Not in Spider Foes.
Yeah, so she's just in Criminals, but she's also now going to be in Web Warriors. So we talked about on the podcast how there'd be two ways now to steal objectives in Web Warriors. Seems good and stuff. We'll see how that does.
I'm just excited to see another 5-point model in Defenders. I think that's a really solid
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Jesus.
In fact, I think they should add Thor to Defenders just to round it out.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, that's the faction that's like, would you like expensive models and then maybe some cheap models?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, all other factions have 3s and 4s, so we're going to have 5s and 2s. That's how we roll.
Yeah, it is odd. They have it's Scarlet Witch, Amazing Spider-Man, Strange, Ghost Rider, and then kind of the Hulk. He's more than 5 points. But yeah, that's just a lot of expensive characters.
It's the Louis Vuitton of factions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Except
go big or go home, bro.
So, does anybody care about Mysterio being in Cabal? Is that something they care about?
I don't know why he's in Cabal. He's clearly not a Cabal member, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, is he bent on world destruction?
No, this is Cable being in the Avengers for no fucking reason. It's the same thing. I don't understand.
Well, Cable's
in
actually in
Avengers?
the Avengers, though.
No, he was never.
Yeah,
Cable's in the Avengers faction.
Spider-Man's not in Avengers?
Nope.
Amazing Spider-Man?
No.
But
They're
Cable
fucking
is.
Yes. And Deadpool.
Huh. All right, that's it. I'm writing a strongly worded letter tomorrow.
No, I was thinking about this for a long time ago. Like, why the fuck why is everybody going into Avengers and
Parker,
Cabal?
I think you're confused because all characters are in Avengers affiliate.
What I don't get is Spider-Man has actually now been in the Avengers for nearly 10 years now, and he's not in Avengers. He's in the Defenders, which I don't understand. He may have been a Defender at one point. Actually, I'm sure he was, but.
Well, I think Defenders are just Marvel Knights, and he spends a lot of times with the Marvel Knights.
Yeah.
Don't worry, because Peter Parker will definitely be in Fantastic Four.
Ooh. That's all that makes me happy. Every time somebody says that out loud, I go, Fantastic Four will eventually be in this game. Please.
I mean, it's on the movie schedule. It's definitely happening.
Yeah. I want it so bad. I want to play it so bad.
All right, what's next?
Other news is we have what is that?
That's all right. Just for anyone, this is not specifically Marvel Crisis Protocol news, but there is a Guardians of the Galaxy video game coming out soon.
That. Okay.
The trailer is now on YouTube. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Debuted at E3 over the weekend. Yeah.
Marvel news, not MCP news.
Yeah. In MCP news, we got War Machine's panel to play. War Machine is a panel to play now. We found out that he's likely going to have flight. He is going to have... It says here they have 2 heavy weapons, which is his minigun and his rocket pods. They suggest that the minigun's going to be able to do AoE damage, and the rocket pods are probably going to be a beam weapon. They don't say that out loud. They just say that it does damage in a line or it does damage to a group of people around the target.
Mm-hmm.
The only one they describe exactly is an attack called Empty the Clip, which is a big spender, strength 8 physical attack. He rolls 2 additional dice for every critical result instead of 1. And still, in return, War Machine then suffers 1 damage for each crit in the attack roll. So he gets to super explode on crits, but the super explode also does a damage to him. So he's likely a character with 3 different attacks, and his big spender does super crits.
That seems like a safe bet since they named 3 of them.
Yeah,
I guess he could have 4.
No, they didn't name 3. They just mentioned it. They didn't put capital letters on the other 2. They just kind of alluded to it very heavily.
Let's see, what do they say?
They say shoulder-mounted minigun and his multiple warhead-firing rocket pods, but again, none of that is capitalized. So
that's 1 attack. It's just a really long.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna strong assumption he's gonna have 3 attacks.
I would not be that surprised if he had 4 attacks like Crystal.
He might, because that's his thing, right? He's got a gun in every orifice. Then
was there any other model that has a beam builder? Because I believe I saw he has a beam builder.
Vision and Enchantress.
A beam 4?
I think doesn't Crystal have
Visions is 4.
Doesn't Crystal do a?
I don't know if it's a builder. I believe she gets 1 power for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess that's kind of a broad term, builder. She has a beam 3 that gives her 1 power upon use.
Okay, no, that's not what I'm talking about. So does Visions give him a power for
Vision
each?
has a beam 4 that gives him 1 power on use and also has sap power.
No. So the key to him is his 0 cost is
damage.
a beam, and you will collect power for that for every damage dealt. So it makes him special.
Or is it for every hit dealt to your opponent? Or is every damage
it's
dealt
damage.
to your opponent?
It's damage.
Okay, so it's not like Mr. Sinister Strike.
No, it's a builder. It's just a builder.
Where it's for every hit symbol that you've dealt to your opponent.
Interesting.
I'm going to deal a lot of hit symbols to my opponent.
Lastly, War Machine has damage reduction. He has armor plating, innate superpower. And obviously, whoever writes these listens to our podcast because they were very explicit. It says
you ruined it.
What?
That was our special news.
That was our special news? No, I'm saying it right now. This is the news section. That's why we have special news.
Well, you were supposed to just read it where it says attacks or other effects generated by your opponent.
To a minimum of 1.
I was going to say, now the news is we now know that they listen to us because we spent 20 minutes last time complaining about how they use this overly flowery language to lie to us because even what they write isn't even technically correct, no matter how you read it.
Listen, he can throw up to 47 dice at his opponent.
Yeah. This model could be placed anywhere during deployment that is within 3 of your board edge. Like, what? Yeah, last time it was like reduces all damage he suffers by 1, and you're like, that's not correct. It's like it's only to a minimum of 1, and only damage dealt by your opponent. Like it was just a blatant lie. But yeah, so I like that they are back to the actually more rigid wording that is technically not incorrect lies. But yeah, he looks kind of cool. I wonder how many points he's going to be. Based on his damage output that we're imagining, because it's an 8 dice physical attack that can roll 2 extra dice per, I assume he's going to be 4 points. I'd be really, really surprised if he was 3. I mean, Jeremy could just tell us if he had a memory better than a 90-year-old, but he apparently doesn't.
I think he's a 3. I'll be honest. I think they're both 3s. The ones that they were
Shaved
talking
head
about.
Shaved head bet?
Yeah, I'll hold Parker down and shave his head.
All right.
Is that what you
Parker
mean?
is in for a 3-pointer. If he's anything but 3 points, Parker has to shave his head.
Thank you.
If
Move
Parker-
on. Next news.
If he is 3 points, though, Parker wins the bet. All right, moving on. What's next for news?
Next is
Parker is trying to read what I wrote in the news section.
you
and
only
every
use
time he's like,
acronyms.
what are you doing? Like, it's
You
an
only-
easy acronym, Parker. Go ahead, give it a shot. Give me your best guess.
Could this mean
It's obvious.
Marvel Ultimate Encounter? Is that what that means?
Close. You're off by 1 word. Magneto Ultimate Encounter!
Oh,
We have the new Magneto Mutant Masterworks Ultimate Encounter kits in stock at the Geekery. We will be running new Magneto Ultimate Encounter events very soon. They're
Okay.
very cool. You get to use nuclear missiles,
Great.
which are fun. This is an interesting way they're releasing this new one. So previously they've just released info packets on their website you can print out. And then after that they released the Thanos Ultimate Encounter, which you had to buy the Thanos model that was more expensive because he came with all the other scenario element stuff. This one, they're just selling scenario element stuff separately. And so we basically have bought the kits. They cost us money and we'll be selling them to anybody who wants to come to the event. You'll get your own copy of all of the stuff you need to play the event except for the Magneto model. And it will be like, what is it? It's like $4 or $5 a person, I think we're going to run it for. So basically you pay $5, you get all the stuff you need to run the event. And it's actually a lot of cardboard and a lot of card stock. But yeah, I took a glimpse at the scenario, and it's pretty cool. Instead of being a victory point tracker, there's a scrap tracker. And so basically he just builds up more and more scrap throughout the turns, and then he expends the scrap tokens to do stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, Magneto's
Get outta here.
fine. He's cool,
I will destroy
guess.
you.
He's the guy.
I'm just going to slip in the Magneto Ultimate Encounter card into my game.
He's-
See if anybody notices.
He's no Doom. Let's just say that.
How dare you?
Can we use? Oh, I'm gonna actually put you on the spot. Is Magneto Doom? Is he as cool as Doom? I would say in absolutely no way, but that's my personal opinion. Because I know you and I united at the very beginning of this podcast on how Doom is the one thing in this game that we are both going to only play as soon as it happens because it's Doom.
Magneto and Doom are different. Magneto is more relatable as a character
True.
than Doom is, and so therefore he's naturally more likable to most people.
Mm-hmm.
And he, even though he is generally considered misguided in his route to resolution, he is widely considered to have good fundamental values by most people.
Magneto is right is like a meme, right? It's a
Yeah,
powerful
Magneto
meme.
was right. If I got to pick which one of them to be, it would be Magneto.
Mm.
But they're both very, very cool characters in the Marvel Universe.
And I mean, hasn't it been really fleshed out who Magneto is via movies and
Yeah.
all that shit? Like, he exists. He's kind of a big deal. He's in tons of movies.
Doom has actually, for villains in the Marvel Universe, Doom has actually been pretty well fleshed out, I think.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a lot of... Because Doom is cooler than his hero counterparts, like, the collective Fantastic Four people that have intricate relationships with each other, as well as, like, serious trials they've suffered throughout their lives,
Not as cool as the
dwarf
one
in
bad guy.
comparison to a random villain they wrote up for them. And so it's just like, well, fuck. Like, we messed up. Like, we made the villain too cool. as where like even though I'm not a huge X-Men specifically fan, like I like members of the X-Men, but the X-Men as a whole, it's like it's a really cool idea, and I like the world it's set in, but I'm not like, oh man, like, you know, cannot get enough of that Nightcrawler. Like, it's not the same. Like, Magneto is cooler than any single member of the X-Men, but there's so many of them, and the relationships are so varied that it's actually a compelling argument of Brotherhood versus X-Men, like, which is better. It's where Fantastic Four and Doom, a single guy living alone in a rock building, is way cooler than any combination of the Fantastic Four you can think of, or even their allies, really. It's like, let's bring in Human Torch and Spider-Man. It's like, still no. Doom's still bigger. Like, so I just don't know how they missed so hard on the Fantastic Four.
I've never been into Fantastic Four. I don't know why. It just never sold me.
It's because they're really dumb and boring.
Well,
Listen,
I
he
think
stretches a lot, goddammit.
The
And
Fantastic
one's
Stretches a lot.
invisible.
And he's smart. Trust us.
the Fantastic Four is it's
Fantastic.
mayonnaise. Yeah, well, they're mayonnaise, right? Like they're really
I hate mayonnaise.
They're-
This is a perfect
I hate
analogy.
they really are. They are mayonnaise. Like they're really bland, and yet they have a flavor. It's definitely a flavor, but by itself, it's not that appealing. You know, it gets better with other things. Like the best Fantastic Four stories are ones where it's juxtaposed with a very powerful round character like Doctor Doom or the Avengers. You know, it's even when they started adding in other members, like they purposely had to put in like She-Hulk and their children and all that stuff to make them just more appealing and interesting. I think they became a lot more interesting once they basically, the Marvel Universe treated them like Star Trek, where it was like an adventure, like it was all very science fiction, like hard sci-fi kind of episodes with them. Like then they became much more interesting as a read, but it just but they needed to be the Swiss Family Robinson because that's what they're like designed to be, right? The Marvel version of the Swiss Family Robinson. That's what they were designed to be, and they needed to be that. And instead, for a while, they were supposed to be like a super team, like the X-Men, dealing with interpersonal problems. Like, well, they don't have any fucking interpersonal problems, you know? Like, they don't really have the bin.
Because they're a family.
You know, like Thing, like the Thing being sad that he's a rock guy can only take you so far. Like, and so it's not.
He's a cold, unfeeling rock.
Yeah, he's
You're like, cool.
Yeah, it's like it's not that interesting after a while. But once it was taken over by, you know, some amazing writers that spent some time exploring, you know, what you could do with the sci-fi side of the Marvel Universe, like take some really cool hard sci-fi looks at things. And they just decided to, you know, to use the Fantastic Four like Imaginauts, right? Like these people just go out and do crazy cool stuff with that. It's very cool sci-fi. And it's just, they go and seek out new worlds and new strange civilizations. That's their mission. And that was the coolest part of the Fantastic Four. That's when I fell in love with them, when I started reading that stuff. But it is true that they are, as a family living in the Baxter Building in New York City fighting crime, they're not interesting. Like, they're not. No.
Yeah. You know what was interesting and way more compelling than the Fantastic Four? The Venture Brothers version of the Fantastic
Yes.
Four.
Yeah.
Jeremy, did you ever watch Venture Brothers?
Not that episode, but some.
Oh, man. So yeah, the mad scientist, what's his name? They just call him Dr. Rusty Venture. Yeah, that's right. Rusty Venture is the Dr. Venture of the Venture Brothers, and his two kids are the Venture Brothers. But he goes to talk to, was it Mr. Incredible? I can't remember what they call him.
Yeah, it's not Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Fabulous or something like that.
Yeah.
It's obviously a fantastic ripoff.
Right, because he stretches and he's super smart.
Yeah, he's a stretchy guy that's brilliant, and he has his own building in New York, and he's a scientist, and they wear blue uniforms, and he has a wife, and then a brother, and a friend. But instead, the friend is their kid, right? Yeah. And so there's still the wife who's the invisible woman, except only her skin turns invisible.
So you can just see
she
her
looks like
muscles
this
and stuff.
horrible, like
Oh my
flesh
God.
ripped zombie. And she's grotesque and she can't control her power. It's only when she gets afraid or nervous.
Oh my
And so
God.
anytime she gets around people, because they always react badly, her skin goes invisible, they scream and run away. It's like, oh God, it's a fucking Japanese toilet ghost. They run away. And then
There's the human Torch is in it.
the
But
Human Torch, whose skin is just combustible when combined with oxygen.
Right.
And so they have to keep him in a nitrogen-rich atmosphere bubble, or else he catches on fire and burns. Like, he physically burns. He doesn't produce the fire, he catches on fire.
yeah, and he feels
So-
it. It's terrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, they basically just have him in this cryogenic chamber at all times. And then the guy who's supposed to be the Thing is their son, the should be Sue Storm, should be Mr. Incredible. And he just has skin 20 times thicker than most people. And so he's
my
like
God.
this giant glob monster, but he's just like this simpleton because he's never been allowed out of his room. It's so horrible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so he's when Rusty Venture's there, because this guy is like, yo, Nobel Prize winner, big deal, and he's like a total prick to everybody because he looks down on everybody, even other scientists. And so he's in there and he starts wandering around his lab and he finds his family and he's like, oh my God, he's been hiding these people out of shame for decades. And it's just like this, like, I've locked my family in the basement, chained them to a radiator situation. It's just like, what do you do about it? It was way more compelling than the Fantastic Four. It was amazing. All right, so let's continue with this fucking train wreck of an episode.
I was like, are we still in
Currently-
news?
Currently playing. Well, you left. We had to fill time,
Well, look,
and then we start talking about Fantastic Four, which is always just a train wreck.
that's a mess.
Uh,
Yes.
Just ask the writers of Fantastic Four. That's what they are. All right, so moving on to currently playing Parker. This is your second time to weigh in here. What would you like to say?
Yeah, so we got I played some Bifrost Bruisers. I played it against Jeremy, and I had a really good time. It was my first time back on the table for a whole year or more. But yeah, so it was like I got to play a couple times on TTS, but I did not get to play a lot over the pandemic, and so I got to move some models around. That will probably end up eventually on YouTube as a battle report, and everyone be gentle because I was really bad. I mean,
I didn't think you actively did anything wrong. It was just decision making was not optimal.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because you didn't have the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
The main thing was I basically ignored the scenario completely and just played, beat them up, and that was not the way to play. Obviously, it's called Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's you're supposed to go for the crisis also. But besides that, I learned that I really like Wolverine. The list I really like. There's nothing really right now I'm not excited about changing anything in the list except the scenario we played, which was the brand new one where the middle point moves about. What's the name of it again?
Research Station Attack.
Yeah, I really like that scenario, and I actually changed that to one of my scenarios now, so it's one of the ones I have. One of my crises.
Jeremy, I saw your eye roll. There's an exclamation point. That's how you're supposed to say it.
Mm-hmm. So I played against Magneto again. So basically, during the game, I mentioned that since Magneto's come out, I have only played Magneto in every single game I've ever played of Marvel.
Sample size 2.
Yeah, sample size. No, my sample size is now 4. I think I played 4 games. Pretty sure. I played you on TTS. I played Jeremy twice, and I've played now Jeremy in person. So technically, I also played Jeremy. So no, I'm a liar because I played the Vibranium Heist, and Jeremy played Thanos instead of Magneto.
So you're only at 80%.
So
that's actually I think that's actually pretty correct. 80% of games have Magneto. Sounds right.
If you take the Vibranium Heist out, which is a non-standard game, then 100% of the games I've played have Magneto in them.
I would say, if anything, because that's a 22-point scenario, that actually decreases the percentage because Magneto should be in every 22-point game.
Yeah. So he, I have learned that I've learned that you don't play the game against him. You actually play. You just kind of sit and wait for him to come at you, which is kind of an interesting tactic. Basically, you don't actually go kill Magneto because Magneto always wins if you go kill him. So you actually just have to sit and wait on your point, and then wait by turn 3 if your opponent realizes they're going to lose automatically because Magneto is not moving forward, that he has to just move in, and you get Magneto on the chin as he comes to you.
Well,
We also
Magneto is
theorize-
very much like a Kador model from War Machine. They're slow and they're very hard hitting, and they're not very efficient in what they do, but what they do very well. And so, moving into his threat range is just like giving him a free move action, unless you're going to actually stop him from doing his thing. And so that's kind of a true understanding of the situation.
We did learn that there is one model in my list that I'm actually really excited to play that has some natural ways to mess with him, not necessarily stop him automatically. It doesn't counter him automatically, but it has some cool things to do against him, which is Loki. And so I'm excited to play against Magneto again. And so basically that's what I'm going to do in Marvel Crisis Protocol from now on, is I'm just going to play against Magneto. And I'm not playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm playing Parker versus Magneto, the game, for the next.
You're playing Magneto
3 years.
Crisis Protocol.
Yeah, which is I mentioned in the battle report. I do not like that. I do not like that it's Magneto Crisis Protocol.
He's the new model.
He's not the new model. He's an old model.
If you had played that game this week instead, you probably would have played against X-Force. Or Defenders. That's not a fair representation. The last thing to come out was the rest of the Brotherhood. And so saying that the flavor of the month is the only way people play the game is not a fair statement.
It would be true if I played more than one game during Brotherhood and I saw a trend. I played against Magneto for the past year and a half.
Because when did you play, though? You played your TTS games when Magneto had first come out, and then you played your in real person game when the rest of the Brotherhood had just come out.
No. The two games I played against Jeremy and the game I played against you, Magneto had already been out for months. You guys had already cracked the code on him and were just playing him a lot.
I'm checking YouTube for the upload date. I bet you he was one of the more recent things to come out.
The point is this. It's just... The point is this, and I'm not mad about this because it has the same thing happen in X-Wing. When the game was only 2 years old in X-Wing, everybody played Han Solo. It was Han Solo the game. That's all it was. And so it was just who could play Han Solo the best and who could play against Han Solo. That was the only point to playing X-Wing after the first 2 years of the game. So I totally understand that there is a model out there right now that is the strongest model in the game. So you play it a bunch. Why aren't you playing that one if you're playing the game? I get it. I totally get it. It doesn't bug me so much as it is just now that this is what I realize. I have to stop playing the game as if I'm not going to see Magneto. I actually need to play this game as if Magneto is going to be my opponent every single game. I should play expecting to play against Magneto every game. And I should expect to see not Magneto, like you said, about 20% of the time. If I played 10 games, I should only see Magneto I should not see Magneto twice. And that's what I should expect. And that is that is a huge skew when you consider how many models there are in this game. That's an enormous skew. When one model is sure to show up in 80% of games you play. I'm not saying it's bad for the game or it's unhealthy or it's a bad thing. It's just the way games work when they're this shallow. And this is not a super shallow game, but it's shallow enough right now that there's just not enough variance, I think. And I also have a small pool. I have a small pool of experiences.
I disagree very heavily with that take.
I have a very small pool, but I will be shocked if I don't get back into this game in person and I don't play Magneto most of the time. I will be absolutely shocked. And the reason why...
I think Magneto will show up in a lot of your games in someone's roster. I don't think it's going to be 80% once the flavor of the month thing fades away again. And I just checked your 2 battle reports on TTS. They came out in December and January, which was literally when Magneto was the last thing released.
Okay.
And so I do think the philosophy that you're talking about is correct. You should be prepared to play against whatever the popular things in the meta are.
Yeah.
That is very true because the game is going to come out in waves. There's going to be months in between releases sometimes. And whatever the newest thing is or the best oldies are, you should expect to see them because that will 100% happen.
Right.
Specifically Magneto, I don't think is true. Because outside of 2 factions, you're really not going to see Magneto that often.
I don't think that's true. I think you're going to see Magneto dropped.
I do.
I think you're going to see Magneto dropped in a lot of other things because you can't. There's currently, and maybe there, like you said, there will always be a new thing, but currently there's not a model in the game that does what he does so well. So I don't think
Not exactly what he does, but MODOK and Thanos both do similar things. I mean, Thanos is noticeably different. MODOK's pretty similar, actually.
Thanos, MODOK is the other one I think that you should consider to always. We've talked about him in the cast before about how if you don't know that MODOK's coming, then you're playing the game wrong because he's coming. Like you're going to see him on the board. I do not think you're going to see Thanos on the board constantly because it requires a certain person willing to devote a lot of points and. Most likely your faction identity in Thanos. Most likely, you're not going to see Thanos dropped into many other lists. I do think people will find the space to find 6 points for Magneto because he doesn't have to be in his faction or in either of his factions. I don't think he has to be at all. So, case in point, Jeremy, because I have faction ADD, and there's some new X-Men models that just came out. I'm excited about the mini X-Men, which is what I'm calling them, the mini X-Men, where you play the absolute minimum number of points for X-Men, which is Domino.
The Min-Men?
The Min-Men.
The Min-Max-Men.
Yeah, the Min-Max-Men. Yeah, there you go. So it's, the Min-Max-Men is exactly Domino, Storm, and Beast, so you just have 9 points of pretty darn strong, like each one of them does their job, and Storm just has an absolute bonkers ability, and you have that 9-point module, and then you find out what game you're playing, and you just put the stuff you want in there, like it could be Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight, or Magneto, or MODOK. You just put the best models in the game, the best combination of models in the game, with that minimum core, and it's just very, very strong. And one of the weird things about it is you can afford to take your tactics slots to be some of those characters that you took because the X-Men tactics are all pretty bad. They're some of the worst in the game, and one of them is redeemable, so maybe you take that one. But since you have so many tactics slots open, you can take Magneto's cards and MODOK's cards and Corvus's cards, and you can afford to do that. And I was eyeballing that because it sounded like fun. But I'm going to keep playing Bifrost Bruisers for a while because I know I have only barely scratched the surface of what it can do, and I'm excited to keep trying it.
Shall I retort?
No.
Okay.
Unless you want to, then you can.
Okay. I think some of this is or a lot of it is slanted towards, I mean, we played a bunch of TTS games, and you've kind of ran into me mostly as your opponent. And there's a lot of things that I don't like to do. It's not my play style. The models aren't great for me. And you haven't seen the horrors of Wakanda, and you haven't seen the horrors of Web Warriors, and people who are good with them. I just happen to be better with attrition lists than I am with trying to play out a scenario. So unfortunately, you're kind of catching that. And I will say that I think the most egregious thing that can be done right now is a 9-point Thanos. I don't think it comes that close to even Magneto. Magneto just punches you in the face really hard.
Yeah. Like we were saying earlier, Magneto's the fair version of the expensive models.
Yes, and Thanos is not fair at all. You don't even get to play a game versus Thanos, like, unless you're fully prepared to deal with that. And I mean, there's missions now that allow you, because there's 14-point objectives. And they can nuke. They can just completely take Magneto out of it. You just that's not probably going to work. But again, I feel like you're definitely leaning towards the things that I've done, or even Brandon's done, and the things that we've talked about. Like, and we've basically always worked on an attrition style game. Most of the time, had more fun with that than some of the other stuff. But there's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of other stuff out there. That's just my only comments towards that.
Yeah, I would just say before you try and guess at what you're going to play in the future, play a few more games. But the logic you took from it was good, that you need to be prepared for what you think you're going to see the most. But I think you're overestimating how much you're going to see the same thing. Because from our experience of playing the game actually constantly for the last 2 years almost, has been the meta adapts fairly quickly. Like, the meta is forever moving. You'll run through periods where, like, similar things get played for a month or two, but then it moves on, and that stuff kind of gets left behind.
So, anywho, against Parker, I played, I had Asgard and Brotherhood was my selections. We played a mission, and because I saw that you only had Brotherhood as your Asgard as your selection, really, then I chose Brotherhood. So that's why I ended up dropping Magneto. It wasn't really my choice. I like playing Asgard with Shuri, giving Asgard some rerolls. It becomes like, instead of just being fair, it becomes pretty unfair. And because we were stretched across on kind of a C mission objective thing, like, it's fine. Either way was fine. I built the list to be pretty, like, fine. But that's why you saw Magneto yet again. Was kind of, I didn't want to play Thor versus Thor. That's stupid.
No, it's really good.
It's really good. It's really great.
Yeah.
Nobody got thrown in that round. Nobody got thrown in that round. Cool.
Yeah, the game definitely does evolve into who spikes the dice roll.
It really does.
Yeah, Asgard versus Asgard is definitely like the most annoying game, I think.
Tons of power. You have to roll dice. Like, sometimes
They
it
also
works.
have the health pools, though, to like actually survive
Yeah.
the average assault. And so it's really just who spikes dice first and gets that small advantage is really just going to spiral.
Does Valkyrie kill? Something. Oh
my
shit.
Does my Valkyrie kill your Thor? Does your Valkyrie kill my Thor first? And then it's like, well, shit. Okay, so moving on, we have our main topic for today. In the essence of what Parker's going through, which is dealing with the current meta, we're going to talk about our top 3 models in today's meta as our subjective opinions. So we're basically going to go around the table and we're going to point out the models that we think are leading the meta today. So we're actually going to start with Parker. So Parker, why don't you hit us with some knowledge?
Of the top 3 models, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that...
Well, you're just going to do one first. We're going to go around and do
one
at a time.
Okay. I think Scarlet Witch is going to be really popular for a while. I think the main reason why is she's a fantastic laser beam. She fixes dice. Well, she doesn't fix dice. She doesn't change dice. She just creates more value out of a single dice, which people really appreciate. Also, she belongs in a couple really important factions, namely Brotherhood and Defenders and Avengers. Like, they're all 3 factions I think we'll see play, but Brotherhood primarily right now. I think you're going to see Scarlet Witch in a whole lot. Also, she comes with one of the tactics cards is one of the like key meta cards right now. No More Mutants is a big key meta card. Scarlet Witch is one of those characters that also has, even though she has a very simple application because of her tactics card, I think and the fact that she is fairly fragile, she actually has a pretty high ceiling. So you're going to see like beginners probably pick her up and immediately get be frustrated by her because No More Mutants needs a certain timing to become great value, and if you just throw her out thinking she's a MODOK, she's not a MODOK. She actually dies much faster. So people who want to play her are going to be people who are playing a lot and love to learn how to get a character who has obvious potential and grow them and get much better at applying that potential. So I think you're going to see a lot of Scarlet Witch, and I think you're going to see her for a while.
I actually think she's kind of a flavor of the month popularity thing. I think in probably about another month, people are going to start dropping her out of lists because she has a lot of really good stuff going for her. I think she's a powerful model and she will get played going into the future, but I think she'll fall out of popularity. And I think the only people that will keep playing her are the people that put a lot of value on her No More Mutants card. I think that's going to be basically the question, is you'll see lists later on that play her as a like ace in the hole kind of character, where they're playing her as their centerpiece and not with another big character, and they'll use like Web Warriors or something similar to feed her. And so they'll use Wakanda or Web Warriors or some other really strong board manipulation faction, and they'll just deliver models to Scarlet Witch to let her kill them. And then they'll use the same board control and her No More Mutants card to protect her. And it'll be kind of like the way Thanos plays on a budget. And so instead of dropping 9 points on a Thanos who's going to kind of control the game, you're going to spend those extra points you're not spending on Scarlet Witch to help the rest of your list perform that action. And so that's how I feel. But she is certainly top in the meta today because she's definitely the new hotness.
I think she'll be. I think Brotherhood will see her in every list. I think she's a fantastic Brotherhood model. I think as a splash, I mean, you have to look really hard at other models before you just splash her in, because she does have weaknesses, and those weaknesses may not be the splash you're looking for. But yeah, currently, for sure, a top 3.
Well, I can tell you from my own experience, I love Brotherhood, but I'm getting tired of running 11-point modules. Like, I want to have other options, and Scarlet Witch, while being a powerful model, I don't know that she's a fun model to play. I think she's very technical because she's not forgiving. She can be squishy in the right situations, like she's kind of vulnerable to dodges. She's semi-vulnerable to strong physical attacks. But she's very vulnerable to control as well. Like, you can stagger her or get her out of position. She's not mobile. She doesn't have any answers to stuff once she gets put into a bad spot. But you can pilot her to avoid those situations, which is why I think it's only going to be the very technical players that end up playing her long term. But primarily, I'm tired of running 11 points as the start of my Brotherhood list. It's getting to the point where it's very repetitive.
And how many times have you spent, like, she makes you spend 6 power to do an attack, to drop 8 dice, which I don't know the percentages, but it's probably pretty good most of the time. But I have douched out that role so many goddamn times.
That's just you.
Just about had it. I have
the
just
only
about
time I've
fucking
ever
had it.
seen that attack not cripple a model is when you roll it. I'm not kidding. Like, I've probably seen that attack used 20 times, and I think it's not dace people 4. Like literally 4 times people survived it.
It's terrible. Like, I've had the worst luck with it, but I get the math. Like, that's not common.
5 on 8 times 8 is a lot. Here, I'll just throw the math up. This is before crits. It should do... Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Should do 5 hits before critical bonuses. So you should probably do about 5.6 hits per roll.
I strongly disagree. 3 or 2, probably.
Yeah, you should roll better.
I just need to roll better.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we're going to have that time, and a small sample size is a small sample size. Like, how many times have you used the attack?
At least 4 times. 4 times.
Yeah, so like four times in the long run is not
I know.
anywhere
I
close to, like,
that.
you know, a curve. But yeah, it does feel bad. It's definitely a feel bad man moment when you're like, the biggest attack I can do, and it just shits out repeatedly.
Yeah.
Certainly frustrating. I remember I probably did best at what I do 6 or 7 times before I even rolled a wild. I was just like, man, this feels bad. Because the whole point of this is just to get it to happen. Even if it doesn't do anything, I just want it to happen. Like, I used to get so pissed playing Thor and not rolling the throw on his strike. I'm like, it's 6 dice. I fucking do 2 attacks a turn, and it doesn't ever happen. Anyway, so Scarlet Witch is our first one. Jeremy, give us the second one.
So instead of going with new hotness, I'm going to go with a historical. I'll go with Valkyrie. She is never bad in your list. Never once ever in the history of this game having Valkyrie in your list has been like, damn it, I wish I had a different model. The move, throw is amazing. The 2 power every turn on a 3-point model, amazing. If she's got a shitload of power, she can dump all of it and go for massive attacks if she wants to. Everything you want in a model, and she's only 3 points. I mean, she also has 6 health on the front. 6 health!
Yeah, 11 hit points. If she didn't have Dragon Fang, like, you just delete the attack from her card, she'd still be good for 3 points.
Yep.
Because the reason you play her is for the double move, and then, or the move throw, or the move charge, or the move throw.
Oh, it's
like,
dumb.
There's so much she can do without rolling dice that adds value to the game. Yeah, and so Valkyrie is definitely a solved equation. She is the best, I think, 3-point attrition model in the game in a vacuum. Now, that can change if you start adding synergies and stuff, but just on plain value, Valkyrie is almost unmatched in efficiency.
I feel like she should have been like 3.85 points. Like,
yeah,
she is so close to the definition of a 4-point model in
this
terms
is
of
exactly
the whole package.
The argument for doubling the point value, because if we're playing, 34-point games instead of 17-point games, she'd be a 7-point model, not a 6-point model. So it would just fix that right there.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of models, like MODOK would be a 11-point model, not a 10-point model. And there's a lot of, those little nuances you could adjust up or down that would help. Like Cyclops could be 7 instead of 8. Like that would be a big help.
I don't know if that'd be a big help, but
that's true.
It would help.
6, but I think that Cyclops and Magneto should switch point values. I'm just tired of this unfair exchange they have.
All right, so tell us why Cyclops is one of the best models in the game. Go, Brandon. That's obviously your next choice.
It's because when you look into his piercing red eyes, you just realize that you don't want to anymore.
You don't want
I
to.
don't know. Yeah. All right, so to my model, boy, I did not think these were the two models we were going to go first with. I'm going to go with the obvious elephant organism designed only
MODOK,
in the room, the MODOKs.
Yep.
There's not really a lot to say here. This has been beaten to death. MODOK was probably one of the biggest misses, top 5 misses in the game so far, but they missed high instead of missing low, which is the thing you can't do. When you miss high, you make models that might damage the meta for time to come. And I'm pretty sure when they printed this model, they did not think he was going to be probably the best model in the game 2 years later. And so he's not incredibly broken, but he can create some seriously negative play experiences. And with the way his rules work, they don't leave a lot of room for other models to creep in without just making more overpowered models to compete with him.
I think if they would have made bow once per turn and just kept that as a solid feature of all models that can move a model, I think he would have been much closer.
If you just delete the force field from his card, I actually think he's fine.
That's probably fine too.
You can have a model that's amazing at offense if they're not also amazing at defense. And the fact that he's only 5 points, like, that was the example. He was the first 5-point model in the game.
Yeah.
We had a 6-point model. Why wasn't he 6 points? We wouldn't be having this conversation if he was 6 points.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, he would feel like 6.
There's a lot of ways we could fix him. If he was only range 3, also not a problem. It's just everything all added together is just a little too much. And it's not to the point where it's damaging the game, it's damaging the meta, because other 5-point models can't compete with him. There is no world in a vacuum you would choose Cable over MODOK. That would never happen. Now, if you have a lot of synergies with Cable, then we can start having a conversation, but you have to overcome the difference in their abilities before that happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's me. Parker, you're up again.
All right, I'm going to go for...
I'm just waiting for him to say it. We know what you're going to say.
He's
Parker.
going to say
Just
it. Are we ready? Do you have it written down?
I'll type it out.
I'm actually going to go with... Shuri. And the reason why I'm going to go with Shuri is she's such a crutch. I wish she didn't. We talk about like MODOK and Valkyrie doing great things.
Preach.
But Shuri is such like a crutch in this game. It's such a you're like, oh, there's a model in this game that's really good. What could possibly deal with it? Oh, Shuri can. Oh yeah, Shuri can. Like, okay, here's a scenario that really needs a certain kind of thing. Who could deal with it? Oh, Shuri can. You're like, oh man, I need this model that he does really, really amazing things, or she does really amazing things, but if only she had rerolls. Oh, Shuri can. Like, Shuri is such a ginormous crutch in this game, and it's a game softener because you look at your roster and you go, well, if this is 9 models and Shuri, it's better. Like, it's better. There's so few lists in this game. There's so few rosters that are so tight that they couldn't drop Shuri in there. It's really sad. I think I think she's always going to be there. I think she's going to be there until this game is a 2.0. I think they accidentally they accidentally did something with her that's too game softening.
You know a faction's good when the majority of their models get played out of faction.
Yeah, you're right. So I think Shuri is always going to be there. The funny thing about her is she's not a flavor of the month. She's so old that if you look at the TTS standings or whatever, if you look at your local game store, you may not see a lot of people playing Shuri. But if you're building a roster and you're not putting Shuri in your list, you're probably doing it wrong. It's probably wrong. It's probably min-maxed with Shuri in it.
Yeah, I mean, she just adds so much to so many scenarios, really, and there are a lot of models like Scarlet Witch. Like Scarlet Witch has such a hard time playing into Shuri because she just gets pushed to oblivion, and when she never gets the opportunity to double attack, it's much harder for her to impact the game at the level she's meant to be. Like what happens when she just gets double pushed by Shuri into where she's not even, she has to move and only be able to shoot like one model. Like it starts noticeably impacting her performance. Not to mention some other models that are even less ranged than her that get punished even more so. Yeah, Shuri was going to be my next pick if you didn't pick her.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about her. I mean, she adds rerolls as well, which you haven't even mentioned the dumbness of that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we all know Shuri's kit right now. We had a year-long truce where nobody played her. She literally never saw the table for 1 year in
Correct.
Kansas City and then Jeremy broke the truce.
Because I was like, fuck this shit. She exists. And
I
we're
own
doing
this
it.
model. I fucking painted this model.
fucking
I'm gonna
doing
play
it.
with it.
We're doing it live.
Yep. And then it ruined everything.
It ruined. She doesn't pop
It's
up
just-
in every list now, but she is really
She
good.
doesn't get in every list, but yeah, she should be considered in every single roster. There is no roster you shouldn't at least sit down and say and ask yourself, should I be playing Shuri? Because it's the cost for the value. There's just no comparison to the value of that board control for basically nothing. Because if she was 2 points and had just her reroll mechanic, she'd also be good. Like she'd be so good. She does too many things. But I just thought of something that will make you guys angry. So pull up the cards and look at Cyclops' blast and then look at Shuri's blast. And remember that one of these models costs more than the other model. It's so stupid. Like her attacks are so much better than most 4-point models. It's not even just her energy blast. Look at her fucking like Panther Gauntlets ability.
Yeah.
7 dice attack on a fucking 3-point model.
Well, remember, we already discussed this. I mean, Wakanda was one of the first things released. Like, it was early, and they were trying to figure it out. Like, Wakanda
No, I get it.
is crazy.
Mm-hmm. They definitely went overboard with some of the earlier models because I don't know if they either didn't have time to playtest or if they didn't have the man hours to playtest or they just couldn't manage to get enough games in. But yeah, Wakanda is definitely over. The whole first wave is honestly a little overtuned because in the first
crossbows. Wait, no, he's
6 boxes.
He's
no, hold on. In the first 6 boxes, we had MODOK, Valkyrie, Shuri, Black Panther, and Okoye. 5 of the first 6 boxes, 5 models out of the first 6 boxes, which are all noticeably overtuned, I would say, for their point cost.
Mm-hmm.
And not like game breaking, but like it adds up, especially when most of them are in one faction. Speaking
of that, what's Jeremy's next one? Where's Brandon's turn?
It is Jeremy's turn.
Go, Jeremy, go.
I'm going to toss in Enchantress to this mix. Move, take her objective. That's pretty dumb. Just the ability to negate everything you've done to get the objective, all of the hard work, everything you've done. She just moves up and says, that is now mine.
Thanks for searching for that power core 11 times.
And
I really appreciate you spending that 11 power.
Not only that, she griefs the shit out of you by making you pay to actually do damage to her. And not to mention, she has bow as well, so she'll move all your models.
She has the super bow, yeah.
She has the super bow. She has the good one, and she has a beam, so she has plenty of power to do all of this. She's really a package that's interesting for 4 points. In that, we came out the gate and made MODOK. Okay, that's crazy, right? Let's make baby MODOK. What the fuck?
Remember when Vision generated a lot of power, and we were like, man, that's a lot of power. Enchantress actually generates more power, which is kind of silly.
So this is the first one we've talked about that's actually a 4-point model. I'm going to tell you, I think the 4-point gambit of models is a really weird one. Most of the time, 4 points isn't where you want to be looking. I don't like 4-point models for the most part. But for 4 points, you need a 4-point model, and you can splash. Enchantress is it. Just move on, Enchantress.
I think we can agree that she's the only good 4-point model in the game. We should. Now that we've agreed on that, we can't take it back. Go ahead.
I was going to say, whoa, that's you. Hold on. So that's my selection. There you go.
Yeah. 4 points is just this weird spot because you're at the point where you're basically you're not at the point where you're giving up a model, but you're getting to the point where you're giving up an effective model. Because for every 4-pointer, you're either giving up a 5-pointer or a 3-pointer to downgrade them to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I totally agree. Enchantress, and if you can notice a trend here, going down this list, it's almost always because they do multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
Scarlet Witch is really the only one, which is why I kind of disagreed with the selection. She's definitely in the market today, but I think that's only due to her recency. But Enchantress is amazing board control plus amazing actual control. And great power generation, great utility. Shuri, amazing utility, amazing board control. MODOK, amazing damage, amazing board control, amazing defense.
Mm-hmm.
Valkyrie, amazing board control, amazing versatility, amazing damage. Yeah, just all good stuff.
Next, you're up.
Oh, it's my turn for
Yep.
my second one. Let's see. Who's good at this? Can I say Lockjaw? Is that allowed?
Why can't you
It's a
say
free
that?
I've only played like 3 games against him, but I want to say Lockjaw so bad. I hate Lockjaw. I wish he didn't exist. I don't know that it's fair though, because I'm not actually picking it because I think it's a top model in the meta. I'm picking it because I don't want it to exist. I'm just gonna say Magneto. I'll get it out of the way because I know Parker was going there. So Magneto, the reason Magneto is top in the meta today is because mutants are awesome, and people that want mutants to reign supreme are even more awesomer. So get over it. He's one of the most intuitive models. He's one of the most thematic models, and he's one of the most fun models you can play with. Like, everything about him is great, as long as you're not Parker, who's playing against him.
Could I say this? I actually think you guys have made some good points today. I feel like there's going to be a time, actually, when Magneto is not being played outside of Brotherhood and Cabal. I think he'll always probably be a serious consideration of Brotherhood and Cabal, like very serious. But I think there'll be a time when if Brotherhood and Cabal are not on top of the flavor of the week, that you're not going to see very many Magnetos, because what you just mentioned, does he do much except kill things? That's kind of what he does, right?
I actually think we're there now, which is why I disagreed with you earlier. Of watching games at the store, I see 95% of games that happen at the store, and very rarely do you see him out. I think Jason is the only one playing him out of faction right now, and he was only doing that because it worked so well in his X-Men list, which he ended up not liking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really don't think he's there anymore. He was definitely there for a while. Like when you were doing your TTS games, Magneto was literally everywhere.
Yeah.
But now, and it's not necessarily because people don't want to play him in every faction, it's the tactics cards. Like, you just don't have the tactics card slots to play the Brotherhood cards. And the Brotherhood cards are so good with him that you kind of get forced into playing Brotherhood.
Yeah.
That's really why. I don't know that... I think MODOK is a better drop-in most lists. The only reason the X-Men do it is because just adding cover to him was so silly, because he has enough defense size to actually utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's how I feel about it. But I do think you're right. He is a very popular model, but I think that's because he's a popular character that he ends up in a lot of weird lists.
For the record, he kills things damn good.
He does kill stuff real damn good. Jeremy, do you have an opinion on Magneto being a meta model?
No, I agree. I mean, for an attrition list that's just like, I want to kill your shit, like, that's what he does. There happens to be tactics cards that place him where you need him. That's great. There's models that move things around. That's great. Like, he does all kinds of great things, but yeah, outside of Brotherhood, you are hard pressed to plop him in there because MODOK is 1 point cheaper, and I would argue might be a little harder to kill for less of a price. Like,
there's less things that get around MODOK.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like,
he does it mainly. He just does it from farther away, which is also why it's harder to deal with.
So
Magneto kind of has to get into the shit.
He really is. He's like, because Brotherhood released, you're going to see it all the time, and that's fine. But for your money, like, MODOK is way scarier. Like, at least you know the odds of killing Magneto. You don't know the odds of killing fucking MODOK. He's got 10 health. And you could roll a bunch of wilds, like, and you don't do a thing. It's horrible.
Yeah. It's the biggest feels bad, man, when you come up short on MODOK.
Oh, it is.
When you come up short on Magneto, you're like, oh, okay, well, either I got very statistically unlucky or this was going to happen. When you fail on MODOK, you always just get mad.
Also, you
at least
bullshit. You get, also against Magneto, at least you got your wild effect. Like, you got your cool thing that did something. Like with MODOK, you're just like, all right, cool, I'm going to do this cool thing. You're like, here I got my Wolverine. You're like, I'm going to attack MODOK. Oh, I can't hurt you because my shit is based on wilds, and you just don't
That's
do
bad.
that.
It's real bad.
Also, your brain caved in about 30 feet back when you died.
Right. MODOK is for the money, not there.
All right. So last round, Parker, you are up, sir. Continue reading off of your list of internet.
I actually have not been doing that.
Ooh,
I've been
original Parker thoughts.
I've been bouncing
live and
around.
live.
I have been keeping close track of what we've been saying and been doing some math while you guys are doing it. But
he's going to do it this time, Brandon. He's going to do it this time.
I think the last character I think is a meta character you should always expect to see is probably.
He's not going to do it.
Oh, I was talking about Magneto earlier. I don't think he's going to say the other one. Because that's not the point of the conversation.
Okay, fine.
I feel like they're all so close after the ones we've been listing.
We're getting to the point where we're scraping pretty deep here, actually.
Yeah.
Nine meta models is a lot of meta models.
I would say the last one is probably, and this is one. I'm gonna pick one that I have never seen on the board except when I played it myself, and I do not know why it is so popular. I'm going off of off the list here. I'll do it. Medusa. I know why she's there. I know why she's so prevalent. She's an Inhuman, and she has the ability to move anybody outside of her faction. She has great attacks. She can push and pull. She definitely belongs in that group of 4-point models that do lots and lots of things. And I think that's why she's such a meta choice for so many people. I don't know of anyone. Maybe you guys can correct me. In our local meta, I don't know if anybody has discovered Medusa and how fantastic she is. I know, Jeremy, you've mentioned how amazing Medusa is, but you haven't told me if you've put her on the board and seen great things from her. But I know everyone agrees Medusa is super strong. When I played her, she was the best model in my Inhuman, foray. I got to my single Inhuman, trial. But I do not know if I do not know if we'll always see Medusa around, but she does fit that description of a 4-point model that does a lot of different things very well that you can drop to anywhere.
Did I miss something? I thought we agreed that there was only one good 4-point model.
It's true.
I specifically said no.
It's that 4-point model that causes the problem right now. It's number one, if you're playing Inhumans, good luck. Like, ice skate uphill. That's fine. Like, you've decided that that's the lifestyle you've chosen. Good for you. Number two, you've decided to splash a 4-point model into your faction. So your choices of 4-point models, you're going to either choose Enchantress or you're going to splash her. You just put Enchantress in, unless you're playing Web Warriors, who they can just put in Miles to get an objective back if that's your game. So it's really kind of like, that's a tough one. That's a tough call. Why? Like, I don't know why you'd put Medusa in a list. I don't, because she needs a tactics card to really explode, and there's a couple of them, but they'll explode anybody. So I don't know.
So I hear mainly from Jeremy, because Jeremy listens to Try Hard podcasts. I don't know why anybody would ever do that, but anyway, he definitely says. He definitely says
rude.
Medusa's popular. I don't know, because every time I see someone playing Medusa, at the end of the game, they just look down at their cards like, why the fuck are Inhumans so bad? And then, like, I never see them again. So I don't know why Medusa is considered good, but apparently she slaps people with her hair molecules. I don't know.
Well, I think it's because she does meet that description. Is what I said, right? She has
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, she's a very, very efficient combat model, and she has some board manipulation.
Yeah, she has size 3. She has size 3 from 3 throws and movement effects for herself and others. She rerolls. There's lots of, and she doesn't. I think she's one of those models that should be 4.5. I really think she's a 4.5 cost model. She should be 9 points in a double cost
Maybe,
game.
yeah.
So let me give you an argument here. So the argument for, and again, I think the only argument is between Enchantress and Medusa. And the argument is it easier to kill a model, which Medusa wants to do, or is it easier to just pay 2 and walk that model away from you? It's easier just to fucking walk them out.
So, hold on a second. Let me look at Medusa. Sorry, it's loading like fucking 64K. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so I think Medusa, like a lot of people say, is a very efficient model. I absolutely fucking hate her aesthetic. It's a stupid concept that makes no fucking sense.
Listen, her hair
There's
is
all
big.
kinds of stories and characters that have used this premise of animated hair. It's all fucking dumb. Now, I've said that
That's
there's
real life.
obviously valuable efficiency here. She has almost no defense, though. If you're looking at this model and you're saying this model is driving the meta, then Black Panther is driving the meta too. Like,
But he is.
there's no reason he's not noticeably better than this model, I think.
I just for the record, Black Panther was my other choice. I was debating
Yeah.
exactly that.
Now,
What split my difference
so
was
the question
data
is: Are we
have.
talking about models we think are good, or are we talking about models that are meta models right now? Which means they're getting played and they're currently part of the active community.
That one?
And so I
is what I
don't
thought
know-
we were doing.
Yes, exactly. So we don't have a lot of Wakandan players at the store because they get a lot of dirty looks from new players, and they get a lot of "why don't you actually learn to play the game" looks from us. So I don't know if that's like the reason that they don't exist, or people just got bored with them. But yeah, I haven't seen Wakandans in a while, but they are very, very good. But yeah, I think Black Panther should probably be on this list. But if he's getting played, he's not getting played at my store, so I don't know. Which is honestly the same with Medusa.
Yeah, I feel like Medusa. I think Medusa, Black Panther, and Enchantress are on. I disagree with you, Jeremy. I think they're on the same level. I do not think they're on different levels. I think they actually have very different. Like, you pick the one that you want to do. Like, if you want to move your opponent's models and have infinity, infinity power and steel, then Enchantress does that. If you want to move your own models and throw things from a long way away and do damage, then Medusa does that. If you want to live forever and run long and grab things you shouldn't be able to grab from a distance, you're not supposed to be able to grab them and survive way longer than you should, and automatically win in one-on-one on some points, then Black Panther is your guy. So I think there's definitely like a call for all three of those. That's what I had to toss a coin. I had to toss a coin. I had to toss a coin between Medusa and Black Panther because somebody already said Enchantress, and I picked Medusa. And like I said, it was split because of the season 5 GTS
I think that's the
numbers.
correct. Based on words I've heard Jeremy say out loud, I think that's the correct choice.
I disagree.
You think Black Panther is more of a meta model than Medusa is currently?
No, I think comparing those three to each other is incorrect. I think mission.
I don't think putting Enchantress in the argument is correct. I think
Correct.
the other two are
That's what
similar.
I'm saying. Absolutely.
Yeah,
They're two
agreed.
different choices.
Which is why, Enchantress was already on the list, and we're just now talking about these two.
Got it. I agree.
Yeah, totally agreed. Enchantress is higher up, is in another class above these two, but the next class down on what we consider playable 4-point models, we have Medusa and Black Panther. Of the two, I think Black Panther is superior, because he does more than the one thing, really. Like, he basically does everything Medusa does, not quite as well, but he does a lot of other stuff she doesn't do. Mainly not get exploded.
Unless you
They're
have
not,
Mystic.
They're not constantly parts of her all over all surfaces within 30 feet. Even Mystic, he's got more hit points, and on the back, like I guess he's not Captain America, but he's still noticeably tougher than she is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's speed long. Like, he's got other advantages.
Yeah.
Cool. So Parker has done Medusa. I always forget Medusa spelled with an E. Such a fucking dumb, stupid name.
Medusa.
Medusa. All right, Jeremy, you have your last pick. And if you say anything other than one word, I'm going to slap you.
You mean Thanos?
I'm going to email you one slap.
Thanos. Is that the word?
That's correct.
Correct. That is the correct choice.
Thanos was next.
9-point Thanos is part of the meta. He's always been part of the meta. He's legit, and he's fucking horrifying. I hate seeing him across the table.
If you split up Thanos into all the different point totals, 9-point Thanos is what we're talking about. All the other Thanoses are way, way, way down the list.
So just to be crystal clear,
Time mind.
Reality is not the favorite, but it's also really good. That's not the wrong choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
The only
But-
reason Time Mind is the correct answer is because Corvus exists in the same universe
Correct.
as Thanos, which means that it's not normally an option.
Correct.
And in some situations, when it is an option, it is the better choice. But in a vacuum, Time Mind is best.
Yep, in this game, people forget from time to time when they're playing, they just want to punch each other in the face. And that's fine, but Thanos doesn't play that game at all. He controls the entire board, and if you don't understand the game mechanics, he will completely own you in every way possible. You will get thrown, you will get pushed, you will get moved, and they will just collect points and bodies, and Black Order will just win. It's pretty nasty. You have to understand the game.
I remember we did the math, and he can, like, the distance he can move stuff is so absurd. Like, we were like, all right, Thanos takes the first turn of the game and moves one of your models twice. And you're like, wait a second. You're like, yep, that's right. He crosses the table and then moves your guy twice before you've had a turn. And you're like, that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, it's pretty much infinite. If he wants one of your characters, he can drag them out and beat them to death.
He with the Time and Mind Stone, he can triple move medium with a medium base, which is faster than most models, ×3. And then he can range 4 Cosmic Portal your model, and then Mind Stone your model.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's absolutely silly. And then if he doesn't need to move 3 times, he can then punch you, which potentially throws.
Which is really funny against some of these models we've already been talking about, i.e. Magneto and
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch, because he could care less. He just places them both outside of it because
Yeah.
he places within 4. And then he can step back outside of anything they can do, and it just becomes a big joke. Like, he's really silly.
Pretty sure we covered this last time, but isn't Sonic Shielding Device not stop places? Slideshow, hold on. Alright, so cannot be pushed or advanced as a result of an effect of a enemy mystic attack or enemy superpowers. So you can still Cosmic Portal people in the Sonic Shielding Device. Why?
Yeah, he breaks all the rules.
Why do you exist, Sonic Shielding Device?
Yep, and he's got 8 hit points on his front, 8 on his back.
No.
No, not
9
on
the back.
How much
9
you have?
on the back. 9 on the back.
Oh, Jesus, Age.
17 hit points.
And that's how good he is. I've never flipped him. Like, he's never got...
Yeah.
I've never
3
flipped him.
less than Hulk, and he also has the daze stop and perfect damage reduction.
Stupid.
And better stats. He's twice as hard to kill as Hulk, at least.
Oh, at least.
At least.
And that's without the reality gem. You give him the reality gem, good luck.
Mm-hmm. And you can also play him in Brotherhood and give him permanent cover, which is also absolutely stupid because he basically blocks 3 on everything.
Done it. It feels pretty good being on the end using him. So anyway, he's very, very, very good. He's very, very relevant. Like, don't for a second not make sure you put those 14-point crises in your list just in case you see him, because you need to drop those. That's when you put those down.
Depending on the 14-point scenario.
Yeah, MODOK and Thanos is legit, and it's a thing.
But when you're going to do stuff like that, know the possibilities. I remember the first super list we had was I was playing Cap, Magneto, or Cap, MODOK, and Hulk in like wave 1, and I was just intentionally picking Gamma. He's like, "Did I get priority? We're playing Gamma," and you're like, "Oh no!" And it's just like, what do you do? Like, we didn't have the models to defeat MODOK, especially when Hulk is killing you in the meantime.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you kill MODOK when Cap's like hugging him, and you're like, "Oh god." Like
it's a pretty rough go.
Slowly... Yeah, and it's Gamma, so you can't even run and hide. It's like, let's stand here and die.
So, I mean, the best thing you can do, honestly, is, number 1, make sure you choose the correct crisis, like a very, very low point crisis, because if they choose Gamma, the best they're going to do is 15 then. And that means you've at least limited what they're able to do to you.
I actually think going big points is not as bad as people think it is versus the Black Order list.
You think it
specifically
helps?
Thanos. It doesn't necessarily help, but it doesn't hurt you as much as you probably think it does. You should take some time and look at their roster before you do list selection and actually math out what their scariest list is and just avoid that point total.
Yeah.
Because if your list is strong at 20, like if you have a 20-point like Wakandan list, that has MODOK in it. Well, now we're actually talking about something that might be problematic for Thanos to take down. And so it really depends. It really depends. But yeah, one thing, like, people are always like, I'm not going to let you play 20 points. Is like, you really think Thanos and MODOK is going to be much more kind at 15? Like, it doesn't matter. And it was the same thing when I was doing MODOK and Magneto. It's like, oh, I locked you into 15. It's like, can you not count? Like, I still have my list. You just got rid of Wong. Like, how is that bad for me? Like, you suffer way more than I do. And they're like, oh, shit.
So crisis selection is key here. I mean, regardless.
Well, yeah, like, it always is. It's much bigger of a deal than people think it is.
Yeah, yes, that's cool. But you guys just described why it doesn't matter, because your opponent playing Thanos and MODOK will still have a huge advantage at lower crisis. So
no,
but it sometimes is not, because at 20 points it's still good. Like you guys described. The first half of your conversation was, oh, it really matters. And the second half of the conversation was, well, it doesn't always matter. You're like, well, then how the fuck does it matter? How does it matter?
No, I'm disagreeing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm disagreeing that it's always correct to go low or high. That's not the correct decision.
Okay.
The correct decision is to actually look at their roster and see what their options are. Because there's a best list built into their roster. There's a best squad available. And that squad has a point total. All you need to do is make sure you avoid that. Does that make sense?
I guess, but I guess if you're on your 100th game of Marvel Crisis Protocol and you've played so many different rosters that you could look at your opponents and do the math that fast. I mean, unless your opponent going to be obliging and give you 15 minutes to choose the point level of the mission while you crunch numbers.
There's time in the game, and it's open information, so you get to know what's in their roster. And yeah, you should get a few minutes to look at it. But you should basically be, what do I not want to play against?
A few minutes, roster. 30 seconds is an eternity when your opponent's tapping his finger waiting for you to choose the point values. Like, I don't
know. Turn on your death clock. You have 45 minutes. Tell them to shut up.
You're talking about Black Order. So, like, if we're talking about Black Order, don't choose 17.
They want to play 17. Yeah.
Because 9 and 8 is 17. And that gives you its 3 models it needs to do everything it wants to do to you.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
When you give them 19, what do they do for 2 points? They put in Wong. That doesn't make their list scarier, but it might make your list a lot scarier because you could upgrade Wong to like Black Panther, which is a big difference. And so that's the kind of like little differences we're talking about.
Okay.
And yes, and the situations like what we're talking about, like the matchup stuff, that's only when you both understand up the matchup to the point where you're actually making decisions and not just learning. And so that's the only time that this information actually helps you. So I would say that it is from the perspective of an educated player, from the concept that they have played this matchup before.
I like the idea that a 14 points or 15 points doesn't necessarily benefit you at all. That going small doesn't automatically do it.
That's probably true.
But then what I was looking for was exactly the answer, which is 19 points Black Order Thanos. A 9-point Thanos in Black Order doesn't. 19 points is probably going to benefit their opponent, not them, because they're not doing much with 19 points.
Yeah. The Black Order list is amazingly inflexible because you have an 8-point module and a 9-point module in one roster. And as soon as you get out of a close to that combination, you have to completely scrap the 2 modules, or at least one of them. And so, yeah, if you're doing the 15 points, you can get MODOK in, but if you're doing 19, it's like, well, you can't put MODOK on top of your 17, and so you just, like, what do you do? That's why I think 20 points against Black Order, it's easier to build a good list against them than a bad list.
You're probably right.
But anyway, it does matter on what they're playing, but we were just talking about Thanos, so we got a little off topic. But it was general information.
Who's your model? Brandon, you're up.
I'm going for a model that I think is a meta model because I think people are starting to realize the power of this model outside of its current played situation, which is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is, I think, going to quickly become one of the go-to favorites in the game for the 3-point slot. He does something no other model does for 3 points, which is be faster than every other model, which is obvious when you look at his, rules and theme. But I think people are going to really like this guy going forward. It's not just that he's fast. He's fun to play because he's very interactive and he's very proactive while also having some reactive qualities. But he can really abuse terrain in a way that nobody else does. Because with Brawl Crawler and his speed, he can get in and out of line of sight before people have an opportunity to react to him. And so you can get people into this like rope-a-dope situation where they think that you're about to fight them and you're not. You can range 3 attack them when they can't attack you, then back away and then still move long again to get completely away from them. And then next turn, re-engage them before they have a chance to do anything. And so you basically always get to fight on your terms, which is very cool. And then combine that with this tactics card that gives them the ability to steal objectives, which we've already discussed is one of the most powerful effects in the game currently.
I like this hot take. I like that he's new. I think you're right. I've watched him on the board and I was like, God damn, this is like a really good Ghost Rider. Like, because Ghost Rider goes wherever the fuck he wants, right?
Yeah.
Like he just goes where he wants. It doesn't matter. But he's expensive.
You're not wrong that he kind of reminds me of Ghost Rider. He's like this weird Ghost Rider Loki combination that costs 2 less points than both of them. That's the key. Is it's a 3-point module that gives you this freedom of movement kind of concept. And I think right now he's really just getting played in Brotherhood. But I think once people, because they're so popular right now, once people start moving away from Brotherhood, they'll remember how cool that interaction was, and they'll try and start forcing it in other places, which might be another way we see Scarlet Witch get added to other rosters.
I see he could be pretty obnoxious, giving a little bit of bonus to defense, giving +2 dice on several lists now. Like,
yeah, I mean I've seen him with Magneto's cover card, which is already pretty obnoxious. Really, just any time you have the ability to change the game state during your opponent's turn can be extremely obnoxious if they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. No, I like him. I like that pick. That's a good one.
I'm excited. I'm excited to play him in Adventures for sure. I think he's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. My only other choice I felt I had was Wong. What do you guys think? Do you think that would have been a fair choice? I feel like Wong gets slammed into a lot of lists out of necessity because he's a 2-point support model. I don't know that people actually play him that often.
He is actually...
But I think...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say...
I know he gets put into a lot of rosters, but I don't know if he actually gets table time.
There's actually... If we're at the end of the segment, I can tell you the 2-point model that does get slammed in, according to TTS, the stats I'm looking at, is Okoye. Okoye is actually number 1. Wong is like 40th. Like he's really low at the bottom in terms of in a roster. But Okoye is in 66% of lists right now on the TTS Season 5.
Interesting.
She's number 1. Would you guys like to know how you did? I stopped and did rankings for all the characters.
Oh, good.
I was actually going to ask you to do that, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So we'll start with Brandon. Brandon did MODOK for his first pick, and he is currently in 12th place. 12th place. And I by the way, I counted any ties as one place. I did them as a group. So he's 12th place in terms of models chosen right now. You also did Magneto. He is currently 10th place right now.
Nice.
With 30. That's, by the way, that's 32% at 10th place. So it's still a third of the list has Magneto in it. And your last one was Quicksilver. He's actually 8th. He's the best one you picked. He is 8th place at 36%.
See, it's starting to happen already.
Yeah, so he's
getting played without Magneto.
He's getting played without Magneto. Yes, that's what we're seeing. So Jeremy said Valkyrie was his first choice, and she is currently 3rd place. Yep.
Yeah.
3rd place at 57%. So 56%.
I just asked the audience to remember I deferred to 2 other people before my picks.
That's true.
So my numbers should be lower.
That's true. And your second choice was Enchantress. She is 4th place. So you had 3rd place and 4th place, Jeremy. And then finally your last pick was Thanos. This is where you really screw the pooch, though. 22nd place. 22nd place.
Terabad.
Oh, and by the way, 100% of all Black Order lists. So
by the way, at 22nd place, and just so you know, at 22nd place, several of those places had like 4 models in them. So
yeah, I was gonna say even 10th, I bet, probably has a couple duplicates ahead of it. Right?
Yeah, so he is actually rated at the same amount as the Reality Gem, Sin, and Vision. He is only in 11% of lists.
You chose a model that gets played as much as Vision? What a moron.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm sorry. You can have my club membership back.
Yeah. All right, Parker, how'd you do? Since you were literally looking at these numbers when you picked.
I was looking at the numbers, yep. So I can tell you
which you went with your gut.
One of them was definitely influenced by it. That was my last one. But Scarlet Witch was my first, and she is 2nd place right now. That's because I want to put her in everything. She is second place right now, 57%. So she's definitely getting played in more than just Brotherhood for sure.
Wow, that's surprising. Actually.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch is second place. Right now, my second one was Shuri. She's in 9th place right now. Actually, she's down. She's exactly 33%. So a third of lists feature Shuri. And my last one was Medusa. And I told you she broke my tie. I wanted to say Black Panther, but he was actually 13th place. I picked Medusa. She is 6th place. She's in currently 42% of lists feature Medusa. So by the way, she and Angela are the ones that really stick out because above and below her is nothing but Brotherhood characters. Like it's all Brotherhood characters, and then it's unusually there. It's Angela, Medusa, Enchantress, Valkyrie, Okoye. So those are like the ones that are kind of stuck up there.
Where was Enchantress again?
Enchantress was 4th place at 55%.
Who was number 1?
Okoye. 66% of lists. 2/3 of the list.
Well, a brilliant 2-point model. Like, come on now.
Right.
She's fine. That's fine. That should be number 1 probably. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
Okay. So for the record, Parker's total added together was 17, with the lowest, which is the best. Jeremy got 29, and
fuck you. That's because of Thanos. Goddammit! Don't even
That's
start.
Thanos, right?
Yeah,
there,
yeah. You were doing great, and then you said Thanos, and you just tanked.
No, I was right.
You basically said delete your roster.
Fine.
So I'm curious. I haven't done the math, but let's see. Quick math. We've got 86 models showing in Marvel Crisis database. So 86 divided by 10. How does this work? So there's an 8.6% chance to see a model in a list with perfect distribution, I believe. Oh, no, because the Infinity Stones are in here. And then I think Ultron Ultimate Encounter's in here as well. So there's about an 8% chance, I would say, to see a model in a roster with perfect distribution. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously, Flavor of the Month's going to impact that a little bit. But, like, a model as old as Shuri being in the top 9 is a pretty big litmus test for this model is considered very powerful.
I think what's important for our audience, in case they don't know, who is dead last with 0 picks?
That would be our friend. What's this like? This is like 3 seasons running. I feel like eventually somebody's going to pick him. It's Ultron. I feel like somebody.
I thought you were talking about a person. I'm like,
there's
a 4th member of the podcast.
No,
I did not sign on.
No,
for
I
this.
feel
I was like someone's going to join the channel. I'm like, what's up, bitches?
Bling, bling, bling.
Like, what did I miss?
Secret,
I feel like I slept through some stuff.
Secret member the whole time. Yeah, he is. I feel like eventually somebody's going to put him in a list, or maybe they're always going to boycott him just so he's always 0. But
I mean, even the Maul got put in somewhere, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but that's clearly someone just put him in their Black Order roster because they had a slot and didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one's playing Ebony Maw out of Black Order doing their secret Dark Horse tech.
I tried a couple weeks ago. I really tried, and then I looked at Scarlet Witch and I was like, really? It's so stupid.
The biggest, by the way, the faction that got, I think the faction, it looks like I don't have all the numbers in front of me. It looks like the faction that dropped the lowest between season 4 and 5, talk about the flavor of the week thing, is Asgard. So with the Asgard, like Rainbow Bridge, everybody was playing Asgard there for a while.
And Angela and Enchantress and all
right.
that.
And
so new hotness for sure.
Right. So the Angela and Enchantress are still in the top. They're still up high in the top 10, but the faction itself has actually dropped down considerably. So
am I alone here? Is Angela not bad? I think she's bad.
I think people just love the one trick. They just like they pay 5 points for that trick.
I think Hired Muscle got killed and Angela, the stock fucking plummeted.
Even with it, like, I understand that I'm not on the bandwagon of, I have 1 more point than you, so I've won. It's like, because I'm used to playing from behind on scenario, because I tend to be very attrition focused. So I don't see my opponent having a 1 point lead as that big of a deal, because I'm just so used to it happening. But yeah, I know I don't get it, and I'm not that's not my playstyle and all that, but I look at her card, I'm just like, is she not just a giant disappointment? Because she does not seem to translate well to the tabletop for me. I played her in like 4 or 5 games, and it's like, she just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I can't make
She's
her
like
work.
Thor without the throw. Like, I just don't get it.
She moves around. She reminds me of like just kind of like dancing to the left, dancing to the right, dancing to the left, and then fucking just gets jacked in the jaw
Yeah.
and gets knocked
She's
cold.
like she's like a 5-point Quicksilver. Yeah, I agree.
5-point Quicksilver.
Except
No, I don't
Quicksilver
get it. I don't know.
probably rolls more attack dice in a turn and is faster.
I think what's important is I didn't enjoy building the model. I didn't enjoy painting the model.
And you didn't enjoy playing the
And
model.
I didn't enjoy playing it. Yeah, no, it was like a 0 for 3, like out.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know.
Alrighty. Well, that's going to wrap up our top 3 models in the meta today segment. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the first time we've done this as a topic. We're going to move on to one quick thing, which is from the forums. Today on From the Forums, a person asks, if Peter Parker gets cornered by Kraven, later that round he decides to advance and suffers damage from Corner the Beast and is KO'd. Can Kraven then play Fearful Symmetry, since it was one of his superpowers that dazed Peter Parker? Or sorry, KO'd Peter Parker. The answer is yes. Even though it was not during his activation or by an attack, because it was an effect caused by Kraven, you can still play Fearful Symmetry. Why you would ever include Fearful Symmetry in your roster, however, is beyond me, even with this advantageous ruling.
Would it be funny if the question was, if you put Fearful Symmetry in your roster, do you automatically win?
Yeah.
because you were so brave?
Yeah. Fearful Symmetry, I cannot wait for the stats from TTS League until we see no one has ever played. I can't wait for Heave Ho, No Escape, and Anger Management to get played more than Fearful Symmetry.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, and that's going to take us to our final segment today, which is Comic Corner.
All right, I got
Parker.
an easy comic corner for you guys today.
Easy button.
And the reason why is Jeremy and I are in love with Domino already. We haven't even got to put it on the table yet, but we just want to so bad. So I went into my catalog and I found my favorite Domino moment. And it actually comes from the X-Force Volume 1. And X-Force Volume 1 is a big graphic novel you can get now that I recommend you actually get the big graphic novel. Try not to get smaller ones or even issues, because X-Force is a great story. It's the redo of X-Force right after M-Day and Hope shows up. Basically, Cyclops decides to form a clandestine team led by Wolverine to go out and murder the enemies of mutants before they become problems for the X-Men to deal with. And so X-Force is basically an assassination squad. And it's super cool. And in one of their early adventures, they run into Domino. And the reason why I suggest X-Force Volume 1 is if you love Domino and you want to see her being Domino as she could be, she has, I think to my knowledge, the only inner monologue that I've ever read from Domino. She's such a side character. We always hear from Cable's point of view or Hope's point of view or, Wolverine's point of view. We never see Domino's point of view. And there's one, she goes on a mission with X-Force that she later joins. And in that issue, you get to hear her inner monologue of what happens in Domino's brain while she is in the middle of a firefight. And it's awesome. She's describing how her powers work and how she feels about the fight because she's so nonchalant because she's just lucky, right? And one of my favorite moments of it is we dress up in spandex and we save presidents, and so you think we're these really nice things, but mutants are terrifying murder monsters. We are just super deadly creatures. And just watching Wolverine, she's watching Wolverine and X-23 and Archangel murder people. It's just absolutely terrifying. She says, I always sleep with a gun in my pillow when I'm in the X-Mansion because I'm in the same building as these people. So if you want to see Domino and the other X-Force members just tear it up in a really awesome, just the X-Force Volume 1, some of the new stuff with Wolverine as the leader of X-Force. It's a lot of fun. And if you like Domino, you want to know more about her, it's one of the only comics I've ever seen actually feature her as the character where we see her point of view. So it's good.
Was Domino one of the Liefeld created characters?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Because I think they all kind of popped up at the same time, right?
Yeah, Domino, Shatterstar, Cable, I want to see Warpath.
All
Boom.
of the New Mutants 100 that kind of turned into X-Force. Yeah, all of those dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the non-Cable X-Force. Yeah.
So I have two things. First, there's actually a Domino novel that has been released by the publishing company that Asmodee owns. It's in the same vein as that Doctor Doom novel I bought.
That sounds awesome.
So there is another option if you want to read a point of view from Domino. And then second, I just realized that Domino has an ability with probability manipulation that is just blatantly worse than Scarlet Witch's ability. It's really funny that I hadn't noticed that before. Because her ability is when you attack, defend, or dodge, you can spend 1 power per die to treat a failure as a success. Is where Scarlet Witch just gets it, right?
Wait, is it a failure or a success, or is failure as a crit? It's failure as a crit, right?
Is it a crit?
It's
Yeah.
a crit.
It's hard to read.
Yeah.
The pictures are real small. I thought it was
It
just.
says-
I thought it was
no.
wild.
No, it says before.
So if it's a critical, that is a little better, but it costs power though.
right. So
She's only 3 points.
Yeah.
That's
Compared to
true.
5.
Also, it explodes, right? So you get not only
Mhm.
do you get
You
the-
might get
the-
more, yeah.
Yeah, not only do you get success, but you could get another. So, I mean, and that's the point, right? She's Domino, right? It's getting really lucky. So not only does she manipulate the luck, but she could get more lucky because that's how she works.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Hopefully you had a good time. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy, play Netrunner.
And this has been The Gang Finds a Japanese Toilet Ghost.
We do not have a main topic yet because we did all the ratings. Unless we're going to do ratings for the new cards.
Now we do more ratings.
Did you see my comment on the most recent?
It's just ratings all the way down.
Did
What?
you, when
Mm-mm.
Dan posted the Craven card,
Oh no.
and I said, "Congratulations, you found the most useless card in all the tactics." I said,
Oh yeah.
"You should get a platinum reward if you use it successfully."
Yeah, that card's bad.
I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I thought you were talking about his character card. I'm like, that's kind of harsh. I don't think. Oh,
No.
you mean the tactics
Yeah.
card? Yeah, that one's bad.
It's-
No defense. There is no defense.
I was waiting to get blown up on that with people with like ideas. Nope,
Nope.
nope.
Crickets. There was a card in the Lord of the Rings trading card game called Down from the Hills. Did you guys ever play this game?
I have it. I've played it a million years ago, but I don't remember
It's
it.
a pretty fun little game. And the card Down from the Hills is basically to represent the scene in the Two Towers when Gandalf shows up at First Light on the third day, and he comes down from the hills with the Rohan riders behind him, and they just massacre the Uruk-hai.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty epic scene, and they tried to make the card representative of that. And so in this game, you'll generally have a collection of like 3 to 4, maybe even 5 heroes on an outside chance. Usually 3 or 4. They have a strength between like 6 and 8. And they have like 3 wounds each, and you fight shadow creatures like Uruk-hai orcs, maybe even like cave trolls and stuff, and to advance along the track. And so the card Down from the Hills says, if you have Gandalf, and you can spot another character that is an ally of Gandalf's, play this card. And they get like +5 or 6 strength, like they do extra damage, they get all these bonuses in combat. But the problem is you have to wound them twice to play the card. Because it's basically like you have to put them on their last leg, and then they're this powerful. And so it was considered a horrible card in the game. And a friend of mine ran a tournament called the Down from the Hills tournament, where you automatically lost any game in which you did not actively play Down from the Hills. And so it was basically just, how far can you get like handcuffed to the worst card in the game? Because it was this silly situation where, and eventually the guy who won the tournament basically just played like a Hobbit deck, because Hobbits are mostly loyal to Gandalf. And he was just like, all right, Pippin, you're dead. He was just playing and kill Pippin. Like, sorry, Pippin, goodbye. Like, Down from the Hills, you explode. Like, next. Like, he would just keep playing this card on the Hobbits and just sacrificing them. He's like, look, I played it. It's like, I don't think that's what he meant, but okay. But yeah, it was fun. So I like silly events like that. But yeah, this card's pretty terrible. I named an episode after it. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it's a bad one.
John mentioned that he heard the intermission joke, so I guess he listened to the last episode already.
Yeah.
The intermission.
Yeah, I posted that video of the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. He's like, I'll watch this during intermission.
We have a loyal fan base.
Mm-hmm. We do it for the views. So far, our podcast has 0 views.
Should I get
Podcast.
my tactics cards for this next? Are we actually going to do that day? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Whoa, huge spike. Not really. We have 2,087 plays.
I don't know what that means as compared to what it was like last week.
I think we're continuing at our normal clip.
Got it. I think we could chew up a bit of time because I kind of wanted to ask. You guys had discussed our game, me and Parker's game. I kind of wanted to hear the thoughts on that. With you hadn't played a game in a long time, Parker, and you just played, and just kind of hearing some of your thoughts, and that would be interesting to me. Because I mean, I've been playing this whole time, so I kind of wonder what it's like to get back on the tabletop and kind of like see what you saw. So I guess maybe the topic might be like, or maybe a topic, playing back in the stores. Because I mean, you did the tabletop simulator a little bit, and now people are actually playing back on the tabletop. Then we played a game, kind of talk about something like that. I don't know. Also, I would like to discuss how much I still fucking hate the Iron Fist model. I put it together. I looked at it at many angles. It is the worst. I mean, like literally, it's.
This is how I
hate
punch
it.
people.
I hate it more than any other Iron Fist model. I hate
But
it.
do you have the power of a dragon? If you had the power of a dragon, you might punch differently. Think about it.
Maybe. I guess that's true.
I'm no Kung Fu
It's
master.
still not the worst representation of Iron Fist. That was clearly the Netflix show.
Yeah, none of
That's
them
true. In the world of media.
I did very much love the meme of now they're actually Heroes for Hire after that shows got canceled. It's like, no.
Wow.
It was really frustrating though. It's because they finally represented Iron Fist correctly. Did you ever go watch that episode, Parker?
No, I did not. The one you
The
said that
buddy
did
cop
well?
team up. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one in a crossover episode where he actually just acts like Iron Fist. He's just like the plucky comic relief that punches people real good. And like they at no point is it ever in doubt that they're not just gonna whoop everybody's ass.
Mhm.
Like they just walk into this warehouse full of ninjas, beat the shit out of them, and they're like, "All right, I guess I'll see you next week," and then they just walk away from each other.
Parker, you going to play on Saturday?
I will be in family vacation.
After the tournament?
What?
You're going to play on Saturday, though. Then you'll go
No,
on vacation.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
leaving.
gonna drive back.
Don't
and then
be
go
selfish.
Back to vacation.
It's a
Don't be
long ass
selfish.
way away.
We'll stream you in.
Yeah, we'll live stream you in. to the
Live-
tournament.
You'll do like chess rules somehow.
Yep.
Mhm.
Iron
Parker,
Fist.
where
to
should I
E4.
go? What should I do? Iron Fist to E4.
Iron Fist, speed, medium, 30 degrees left.
Yeah.
Full move, quarter move. It'll be good. It'll be fine. Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
Yes, I watched. I did not watch all the Netflix episodes, but I watched a lot.
No, the
Oh, those are
Netflix
the
ones weren't
best
great.
ones.
but-
They were by far the best
Oh,
episodes.
Jesus Christ. But the whole idea of when they had the robot that had the iPad strapped to itself and it would drive around
Yeah.
and like it was representative. Like we'll do that with you. It'll just be your face and there'll be a camera on it. It's going to be awesome.
Let's look at our topic list. Here's a good one. We'll do this. Top 3 models in the meta today.
Ooh.
Ugh,
Top
that
3
sounds-
as in best or top 3 as in most
Well-
chosen?
Most popular.
Okay.
Are we sure? Do we actually have like any way to say that for sure? I'm not saying it's a bad
Oh,
topic.
we do. You don't.
Um,
We've played more than 2 games, sir.
Yeah.
I can tell you our numbers and whatnot probably go hand in hand with Tabletop Simulator, like the 180 people that are playing in Season 5.
Okay.
So there is actual data if you want to look at it, but I think we parallel.
At least close enough.
Yeah.
Where is that data? Where would you find that?
I would say TTS rosters season 5, something like that.
If you guys don't want to do top 3 meta models, we can do a different one. I have a couple others we can pick from.
I think we can do a series of top 3s, to be honest. I think that would probably take up a bunch of time. Top 3 models, top 3 scenario choices.
Well, I think we should just do the models for today, because I think we have enough stuff to talk about with that. It's
What?
just that if you guys want to talk about that. But yeah, I agree with you that it's good to have those top 3 topics.
What
I
about,
already have that in one of our reoccurring topics.
instead of top 3, I think top 5 might be more interesting. Because I think the top 2 and 3 might be all the same.
Well, how about we go around the table and we each give 3, one at a time, and you can't duplicate one. So we'll end up with the top 9 of our
Okay.
opinions. But
That's fine. No, that's good.
okay. And then I'll keep a list running on the document.
I'm trying to find any data about season 5, and I can't find it. I found like individual
Still running.
games.
It's still running.
Don't they have like the
What is
the
it called?
lists?
I can tell you where to
Bifrost.
go. It's on, look up Xavier Protocols. They do all that stuff.
Season 5 roster stats, just the numbers, save your protocols. Yeah, here it is.
I was going to say, I know those guys do it.
Okay, I got it here.
I'm not going to pull that up and go off any of that, by the way.
I was
but it
gonna
is
say,
there.
this is what I thought maybe I could contribute this way because
No, that's fine.
I shall read the next highest name on the list. 'Cause
Yeah.
I am Parker.
Well, if it makes sense, absolutely, for
Uh.
sure. Because, I mean, we're going to be personally biased. Me and Brandon have played a few games. Like, we're
Yeah.
biased on our things.
No, yeah, which means we've played more than Parker. By
Well,
exactly a few is
Well-
one more than Parker.
there's also the concept of, like, what models, like, just destroy your ass. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
Magneto will be one of them, for God's sake. Like, it's going to land in there somewhere.
I don't know what you're talking about. Magneto is a
What?
very underpowered model.
Whew. He should
I
be 5
handicap
points.
myself.
He should
every
be
game
5
I play
points.
him. He should be 4 points. Let's be
4
serious here.
points. I have to tell you, I think Magneto is the most perfect costed model in this entire game.
Yeah, you feel like his cost is legitimate, but at the same time, he's scary. So,
He is exactly where he should be.
and despite being the most bullshit model in the game, he is the most fair bullshit model in the game.
Yeah.
He does exactly what he does, and everyone knows what he does. It's not complicated. He just does it. Does it real good.
I think I would think differently. You know what? For whatever. Let's save it for the
We'll
topics.
talk about it later.
Yes. I've
Yeah.
got a lot to say about Magneto, that motherfucker. You got any for the forums? Did you find anything cool?
I haven't looked. You want me to look?
You might as well take a glance. There might be some
I don't
because
know,
all these
man.
new. all
You
these-
can't go to that well too often.
Well, I mean, with all these models that just got released in the United States, like there might be a couple new ones. Do you know Australia still doesn't have Inhumans? That's how far back they are. They're so fucked.
What?
Yeah.
It's not like X-Force for us, where it was just like late. They haven't gotten anything past in.
No, they haven't. They've been like 6
Oh,
months with
man.
nothing.
Do we want models that aren't released yet? I usually avoid stuff like that.
Well, it depends. I mean, where they release, like, whatever. I mean, our listeners in Singapore would like to know.
Okay. The title of this one is Field Dressing on Dazed Characters That Already Activated, but was dazed mid-activation. Does anyone want to guess what the question is?
Kill yourself.
Can I still use my last attack?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. The answer is yes. Do whatever you want.
No. No.
Do whatever you want.
Well, it depends on the orientation of the car that landed on top of you.
Who killed you? Start there. Were you on a building? How far
Fall
away?
damage.
How far away were you from a car?
Yep. So, does this mean Lockjaw can either activate again or continue his activation using his unused actions from his previous activation?
Why not? Do it. I think you should.
Answer: characters with activated tokens cannot activate.
What?
I don't like roasting people, but that was a bad one. That that was real bad. Literally, just listen to the words you said and see what you think should happen.
Do the things that you said, the things and the things.
I love the rules moderator saying, no, none of the things you said are possible.
I always like when the rules moderator just says no.
Yeah,
That's my favorite.
Two
No, lock thread.
2 letters, no capitals, lock thread.
No, lock thread.
Yeah.
That's some harsh shit.
Oh, Parker, just for people listening so they realize I'm not a complete terrible person. You've played 3 in-person games, one of which was a learner game, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this rules question. I want you to give me the response.
Okay.
When Captain Sam is KO'd, does his team get the benefit of his leadership ability, or does it cease to function because he has been dazed?
No, he gets it because it especially says if this model is KO'd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says it on the card. Just read the card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
It says that exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the things I like about the card. It actually works when he does. I think it's cool.
That's going to be kind of janky at first. That's going to be really weird to play against.
We were talking about it in the parking lot a lot.
I think Sen is.
I don't know.
I think Sen is the same vein of like people don't realize how good it is until it happens to you.
You know what it reminded me of, because we got our Netrunner stuff back out, is that HB deck I built where it was just like all the assets you have to spend like 3 credits to trash. It's like what happens when the runner runs out of credits. It's like all these things just get massive value because you're running so many of them. And it's just like, I guess you have 12 assets. Shit.
Hashtag Netrunner fucked me once.
Yeah, there's no new ones that are
Okay.
not real. Oh, hold on.
Wait.
Fearful Symmetry question.
Oh,
Let's
Jesus.
see.
Ah! I think that's the well worth diving into.
Mm-hmm.
Is this card complete garbage?
Okay, so you remember how every single rules question about how Hela's shit works and then how Ghost Rider's shit works
Mm-hmm.
went against Hela but in favor of Ghost Rider?
Yep.
Okay.
It's similar to that for Fearful Symmetry. They're gonna give him every benefit of the doubt to play this fucking card.
Oh, as they should. It's still not going to
Yeah,
happen.
because it's still fucking terrible. But the question is, actually, I guess I'll save this one for the podcast because this is the only one that we have.
Okay.
All the rest of these are terrible.
Kind of excited about some more Netrunner.
Yeah, me too. I was actually kind of sad we didn't get to play more games.
I need to pull my cards inside and start like looking at them and actually figure out what I was thinking at the time, which might have been nothing. Like it's fucking
I looked through my
stupid.
Jinteki deck and I could definitely tell that I had heavily modified it based on the people I was playing.
Motherfucker.
Because-
You're such a piece of
Well,
shit.
it's not because of that. It was just because people know how the common cards get played. So I started playing some weird Dark Horse cards just so it would throw people off. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know. Here's some random ice and some random assets. And you're like, okay. Because Jinteki's all about the trap cards. But the point of the trap cards is that you don't know what's about to happen or else they don't work. If you
Well-
know what's coming, they don't work.
Well,
And so I started putting in weird oddball ones to make you like second guess yourself. You're like, all right, that's a June bug, but if it's not a June bug, I'm screwed. And so then you end up checking the June bug because of all the other weird shit in the deck.
dear listener, if you've never played Netrunner, it's
So
unfortunate for you. That's a hell of a game. Highly recommend. Find a friend that owns it. Give it
One
a
of our
whirl.
I was screwing with my cards during the last pre-release, and one of the match players came over and he's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Netrunner." He's like, "What's Netrunner?"
Did you
Like,
smack him across
it's
the mouth?
It's an asymmetrical card game. And he's like, what does that mean? I was like, so there's 2 players and they don't do anything the same. He's like, how does that work? And that's why I just started explaining the game to him. He's like, that sounds awesome. I was like, yes, it is awesome.
It is
It is
quite.
very-
Unfortunately,
very
Wizards
good.
killed it. Thank Wizards for ruining the only good card game they were ever affiliated with.
I cannot imagine there won't be a Mark III. Honestly, I cannot imagine.
It's IP problems. It has nothing to do with the game. It's just IP problems. Because they wanted to make Cyberpunk 2077 the video game, And due to something that was written a certain way in their IP contract, they gave all the rights to FFG and not just the rights for the card game. And so they had to take it back, and I don't know what... I guess it could happen again, but FFG's like going down hard right now, so I don't see that happening. I mean, they lost the Star Wars license. That's probably not helping.
Did they really?
Yeah, AMG has it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, but am I missing something? Isn't AMG a part of the whole thing that owns Fantasy Flight?
Asmodee owns FFG, and they're affiliated with AMG.
So isn't that all the same?
No.
But FFG still has Star Wars stuff. They still have the Star Wars card game and like all the RPG stuff.
The Star Wars card game? What Star Wars card game?
Their Star Wars.
Destiny died like 2 years ago.
No, not that. I thought there was another. I thought there was because I thought they still have some Star Wars IP stuff. Maybe I'm
not
crazy.
To my knowledge. As far as I know, the only thing FFG does right now is Keyforge and Suck.
They do a lot of Marvel stuff too.
They do Marvel Champions.
Yeah.
They basically took all their horses and lashed it to everything Cthulhu related.
Yeah.
Like that's it. If it's Cthulhu oriented, if it's like H.P.
Do you know
Lovecraft.
Why? Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's fucking open source. No one owns H.P. Lovecraft shit anymore.
Really? Oh, because it's been so
That's
old?
why everyone has Cthulhu shit.
That's true. Well.
They keep playing. Look at it. They keep printing Legends of the Five Rings stuff too.
Yeah.
Also, why do
but
they?
But again, they do L5R or Lord of the Rings IP to fucking everybody.
So why do they still have? Why are they still selling? Why is FFG still selling all the X-Wing stuff off their website? Like, where is that still?
The transition isn't complete.
Okay.
They're just not designing anything new.
Okay.
I have to tell you, the Lord of the Rings, that living card game is fucking amazing. It's a really good game.
I've heard good things.
And I mean, there's tons of other games that are based on exactly that system that are the same way, and they're not as good. The Lord of the Rings, I can't get enough of that card game if I can get people to play it with me. It's really good.
Lord of the Rings, which one?
It's the Lord of the Rings living card game.
The one that FFG made?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's really good.
Journeys in Middle Earth? No, that's a board game.
That's different.
Lord of the Rings, the card game. That's it?
Uh-huh.
Was it you, Jeremy? Was it you? I bought into a really old Lord of the Rings card game, and I can't remember what kind of game it was. I remember I had a deck. It was a dwarf deck. I remember playing a tabletop. Was I playing you? That was one where you had to... the point was it was an asymmetrical game. One side was the dark side. One side was the Fellowship.
I think that was me.
Was that you?
I have that game. That's what Brandon was talking about earlier.
Yeah. I think I brought my decks up one time and you played a couple games with me.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal. That's not the what I would call the perfect living card game, which is Lord of the Rings, the card game. It's fucking good.
Mostly because it's not a living card game.
Yeah, that one's not. No.
Holy shit! This is a really big game. Like there are a lot of expansions.
Oh, the LCG.
Oh, I have over I would say 20. I don't know, maybe even $2,000 worth of fucking cards for that game. It's stupid.
There's so many.
Every edition is good. Like, it's fucking great. The way the system works, you build your shit like a Magic deck. Like, you just pick out what you want, you build it, and you go for it. And the deck doesn't give a fuck what you do. It just kills you. It's just like, okay, that's great.
Because it's cooperative, right? It's like you versus the encounter.
It's cooperative. Every person you add, it gets harder and harder and harder. And it's a really hard game. I've played that a ton.
Jeremy, I would play this game with you in a fucking heartbeat.
Well, I mean, if you show up at the store, I can bring it. You tell me when you're going to be there.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
He won't. It's been years. He doesn't even come up there.
He doesn't even know where the store is.
We're talking about I play at the Geekery now. Do you know where that is, Parker?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Up north?
I done heard of it. Wow, a lot of it's out of stock on the website.
Yeah, it's because they're all super old sets.
Yeah.
It's been out for a long time. Me and my brother started playing it a while back, and then we played all of them. I kept just buying them because every one of them is fun, and every one of them is different. Like, there's literally a mission where you fight against, like, 2 double-headed giants in the cart. Like, you'll be doing your best, and all of a sudden you get shoved in a bag and then eaten. You're like, what the fuck? Just randomly. Like, that's just how the game works. You have to avoid it. And that one's completely different than, like, you have to scale a mountain. Like, one of the missions is scale a mountain, and you just die of, like, being frozen to death. Like,
I know.
the game's amazing.
I refused to ever read anything like the Silmarillion. Like, I refused. But I was interested.
No, don't do that.
But I am interested in the lore, so I deep dove into some of the folks who had read the Silmarillion. There's a lot of content online of like
I read the TLDR by people that have read it.
I did not want to read that fucking book, but I didn't want to know how many syllables there were in the Elvish word for this place name, but I did want to know
Genitalia.
Yeah, I did want to know. I did want to know like the history and some of the main characters and the primary story, the different ages. I want to know what's the difference between the first and the second age and that kind of stuff. And so I spent a long time watching YouTube and stuff on it. I really like the world. I really like it, and I really like the main. I've seen the movies so many times.
Yeah, every part of the movies and the books is in that card game in different ways. And
hold on. Is the Hobbit in this game? In the Hobbit?
Yes,
the Hobbit?
absolutely.
Ugh. Okay. The
But
book is fine. The book is fine.
Here's the cool part, though. The card game
terrible.
just merges them in. Like, if you want the characters that are in the Hobbit, great. If you don't want to play any of the Hobbit missions, don't. Like, you don't have to do any of that. And it's completely like, do whatever you want. The card game doesn't care. Like, the enemies don't give a fuck who you are or what you've done. Like, build the biggest deck you think possible. Go ahead. And it doesn't care. It's still super hard. Every mission is super hard.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm not one to, like, get into any of those games. Like, I hate living card games. I hate that. That's just like buying crack. It's so good. I got to bid another one. And they just keep putting it out. And you're just like, fuck.
I like LCGs. I do not like CCGs. It is very frustrating to play CCGs as an adult. It's like, I have shit to do. Can you just give me what I want now?
Yeah. No, I agree. And it has to be a good enough product for living. The thing I hate about living card games or any of that shit is they'll tag you, they'll carry you along and drag you through the mud, and then all of a sudden they give up on it. And then they'll just produce garbage, and then it dies on the vine there.
It's like when all of the developers get offered better jobs because they made a good game.
No, but
it's almost like the Flash TV show where it's like, hey, this is great. What the shit?
Yeah.
like what happened?
And Lord of the Rings has not been like that. Everything they produced is good and fun, and it's all additive because all the cards they put in there, you can add to your deck. Like I say, it's exactly like building a Magic deck. You can have 3 of these, 3 of those, 3 of these. You mix it all up and play any mission you want to. It doesn't matter.
I used to get confused when people said they avoided FFG games because it was FFG and no other reason. And I'm starting to get it now. It's really just anytime an FFG game becomes like their cash cow / leading seller, it just immediately like gets overmanaged by their like executive board members and turns to shit. And they start fucking shit up because they're trying to overmanage it, not just let the developers do what they want. Or because it did so well, they'll like fucking steal one of the developers and move them to another project, try and make that project successful. And so they just start fucking with it as soon as it becomes successful, when you just leave it alone when it's successful. Just don't do anything. And so the smaller the game for FFG, usually the better, as long as it doesn't get canceled.
I actually ran into the Lord of the Rings card game from Tabletop, the owner of Tabletop. I had talked to him about liking different games, and he introduced me to it. What's interesting about that is, you have all these things that are released, and one of my friends bought the Cthulhu version. I don't remember, is it Mansions of it's one of the living card games.
Mansions of Madness, I think, is the board game.
That's the board game.
Arkham Horror.
Is that the card game? So Arkham Horror is basically a copy paste of the Lord of the Rings. So they're just milking that version. It's a reskin.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of sad. It's like, okay, you guys didn't really do anything special there.
Well, I believe Lord of the Rings is the newer of the two, isn't it?
No, not at all. No.
Older? Okay. No. I thought Arkham Horror card game had been around for a long time.
No, that was the newer one.
Okay.
Anywho, it's a great card game. Back to Netrunner, also a fantastic fucking card game.
Yeah, Netrunner. I'm gonna miss Netrunner for a long time. It's just like anyone who's ever played Netrunner for any reasonable amount of time knows like that game was so deep. And people, when I talk to Magic players, they're like, "Why don't you like Magic?" It's like I get tired of turning cards sideways. Like that's literally the entire game of Magic is you turn cards sideways. There's no decisions because there's always a correct decision, which means if you're not fucking brain dead, you should be able to find it in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And so in Netrunner, there's not always a correct decision.
Nope.
Which means you're trying to read your opponent, and there's actually decisions to be made. And so that's much more interesting to me than like I play 4/4 for 3.
Well,
I turned 4/4 for 3 sideways as often as possible. Look at me play game.
well, look at
And, like,
Magic.
Jesus
So
Christ.
what's available for Magic? You either play a card or you don't. Netrunner is you either
There's
play,
more to it than that, but
You
yeah,
play a card,
You're not. Mhm.
you draw a card, you
You
pay
play
for-
card. You do.
Oh my
what the card
god,
does.
it's unlimited.
Yeah.
It's unlimited,
Mhm.
and you can botch your fucking turn. Like it doesn't like it's infinitely.
Well, it's so
better.
easy that like you tend to take a little bit extra time just to confirm that you're not about to make an enormous mistake that will cost you the game. Because anytime
I'm offended
you do
by that,
something-
Brandon. I'm personally offended
And
by
the
that.
way you do it, the way you do something will also determine if you win the game or not. Because, and I'm sure Magic players will agree, like a lot of people that play Magic nowadays play Commander in some version or another. Even if it's not the format they prefer, they do play Commander. And Commander is very much a social game. And Netrunner brings that in a 1v1 situation, which is a really odd thing to balance well. Because the way you do your stuff, anybody who has played Netrunner, there's basically one side is trying to one side plays as a corporation that is trying to develop new software to sell to the public. The other side of the game is the runner who's trying to steal said developing programs from the corporation and do with it what they want. Either sell it to another corporation, sell it to the public themselves, or just release it for free. Whatever reason they're trying to do it. It's basically the card version of the Shadowrun role-playing game. And
It's like
so
1980s,
you'll try and,
like
yeah.
1980s, like the
It's
grittiest,
cyberpunk.
cyberpunky, like it's.
I mean, the
so
original name of the
cliche.
game was Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally named Cyberpunk. So, if you played the Cyberpunk video game, it's literally it's based off the card game. Which the card game was sold to FFG, who reskinned it as Netrunner. But the core mechanics are the same. But yeah, so you're trying to develop these things called agendas. And if the runner at any time gets to look at the agenda, they win. Or they don't win, they steal the agenda automatically. And so first to 7 points wins. The agendas are worth usually 1 to 3 points. And you have to have a minimum of like 21 points of them in your deck. And you can install like firewall programs in front of your cards so that the runner has to break through them to get access to your cards. And so it's a shell game where you're trying to like bluff and also plan ahead and score more points than your opponent. But it's a very fun interactive game.
Yeah, one player is trying to hide information. The other player is trying to steal information in a perfect like symmetry form. It's really nice. It always feels pretty good. You know, what the 1-to-1 relationship in an asymmetrical game isn't as good as this game and any other game that I've ever seen.
It's very, very fun. But yeah, I think one of the best parts about it is the asymmetrical part of it. And at one match, you'll basically play as each side of the game once. So you'll play the runner and the corp each one time. The total score differential determines who wins. And so it's first to 7 wins the game, but if you score 6 to 7, and then the next game your opponent scores 1 to 7, then you'll win with 8 to like 13. Yeah, super cool. All right, we probably talked enough Netrunner. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and then we'll probably get started.
What are you fucking doing?
Nah.
Aw.
Shut up, it's Blitz o'clock. Actually, I now realize that there's no reason for me to do this because it's a Sunday Blitz. I only need to do this one time in 2 days. But it's about the time I normally blitz, so. No, actually something I was thinking about while we were pre-rambling is I would really love to do like a role-playing game podcast where we play through a role-playing game over Discord and record it. But we would have to find a game master.
Yeah.
And Parker would have to be able to talk.
What?
What? You're supposed to say yeah.
Yeah. I started playing Kingdom Death again.
Oh yeah.
Yup. Very excited about it.
Oh yeah. I just watched The Witcher for the first time.
I haven't watched it yet.
That show's dumb. Why does Brian like that show?
You don't like it because you don't like beautiful men. As far as I can tell.
No,
that's-
actually, that was literally my favorite part of the entire show, actually. No, I didn't like it because it's all out of order chronologically. Like, the fucking show skips around chronologically to the point where I didn't know what the fuck was going on at any point in time.
Oh, really?
And that's probably only because I didn't really care that much to actually try and follow what... But it's like, Pulp Fiction is more chronologically correct than this fucking television show.
I watched the first, half of the first episode and gave up on
Yeah,
it. I was like, I'm not in. I don't know.
Well, because they're trying to tell, 30 years of story in, 8 episodes. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's this person, and then there's this other person, and I'm trying not to spoil anything because it's not a super recent show. It's not a super old show. It's fairly recent. But, stuff happens, and then, you meet a character that's already been introduced later in the timeline, and you're, seeing their origin story, but at no point does it mention that it's a flashback, 30 years. I'm like, no wonder I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was very annoying. I feel like the show would have just been better if it would just been, a contiguous story. What do you think, Parker?
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it sucks.
My brother loves the novels.
Yeah,
but
I
haven't
feel
watched
like
it
it is very much what Game of Thrones was, which was massively undervalue what it could have been.
Yeah, the people who played the games and really loved it, seriously, were very passionate about it.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the show for a minute, and I never played the games, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna watch Breaking Bad again for the 7th time.
Yeah, I've only seen people play the games briefly, when they were at their computers. But
Yeah.
I will say that I thought they did a really good job of adapting the game to the screen. I thought that actually felt very natural, and the voice and everything. I thought they nailed the character spot on.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know anything about the story, so I couldn't speak to that.
I mean, I'm all about Superman. I like him. That's cool. I'm fine.
I actually don't like Henry Cavill in general principle, but I thought he did a really good job as The Witcher. Which is basically grunting and stabbing. But I mean,
whoa, careful where you go there.
if
I
you
don't know-
like Superman, you're an idiot.
Listen,
Full stop.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a remake that was 27.
Oh, you mean
it was
you mean
27
the
hours
Return of
long.
Superman?
It was
You mean the
27
Return of
hours long,
Superman?
and it had
No,
something
no,
to do
no.
with superheroes.
The Kevin Spacey one, because child rapists make the best Lex Luthers.
Oh God! Wow, that really derailed quick, didn't it?
What are you talking about? No, the problem I have with the Return of Superman is not the fact that they have a child rapist in the movie. It's actually the massive inconsistency of how Superman's powers work in the movie, beyond the bad acting and everything else. In the opening scene of the movie, he struggles to stop a 747 from crashing because he can't lift it.
He's learning.
I don't know if you know anything about planes. They're generally designed to be as light as possible. Later on in the movie, he lifts a continent made of kryptonite.
Wait, didn't he also take a bullet to the eyeball? Directly
take a bullet
to the eyeball.
yeah.
I remember seeing that.
Literally directly to the eyeball.
a bullet, bounced off his eyeball. Literally.
Yes.
I mean, that's fine. I see. Okay. And can't he,
FY
he can go so fast he can reverse time and shit?
Not in that one.
No, okay. Okay.
Only in Superman 2, he reverses
2 or
time.
3, I don't know. It's one of those.
It might be 3, but I think it's 2.
Superman 2 had Richard Pryor, so don't fuck with that one.
No, Superman 3 had Richard Pryor. Superman 3 is the one with the robot, right? He fights a robot that puts him in an embryonic sac at the end. That's the thing
Wasn't
that
that-
beats him.
That was 2.
I thought that was 3. I thought Superman 2 is when Zod shows up, and Superman 1
Ooh,
is
you
when
might be right.
Kevin
Oh, shit.
is when, what the fuck, Gene Hackman gives him the emerald necklace and he drowns. Like, I thought that was the order of the
The
Superman.
emerald necklace. Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure my 80s knowledge is supreme right here.
You might have it.
Yeah. Because Superman 3, they were like, what if we got the guy from the toy? And then, like, made it all about getting money from the man. And that's, like, the plot of the movie. And Superman 2 is like, what if we got a skinny guy with a goatee and said he was the most powerful being in the universe? And then that happened. Parker, I feel like you're asleep.
Oh, it's Superman 3, you son of a bitch.
Got it.
You did. You nailed it in one. Good job.
Parker's ignoring us.
It's 11 o'clock and we haven't actually started talking about Marvel Crisis.
Oh my
Protocol.
god, it is. I didn't realize it was 11 o'clock. Yeah, but we're recording, so this is all podcast. This is all meat.
Okay.
This is the meat.
This is the meat of the podcast. I'm pretty sure people just listen for us to make
We're
off-color
sorry.
comments after the podcast is over.
We apologize for
Yeah.
any inappropriate...
Intermission! Intermission!
Hit the intermission
You just
button.
yell intermission, it means you're halfway done.
All I know is it was clarified. Superman 3 has Richard Pryor. Look, we do our facts checking beforehand.
Parker, which of the Supermans was your favorite?
What?
Which of the Supermans was your favorite?
I actually did not mind Man of Steel. I didn't mind it actually.
Okay.
I did not think it was it got kind of course the part that was really weird was the obviously gratuitous loss of life at the end of the last like 15 minutes of the movie. It's like, yes, hundreds of thousands of people die. It just obliterated. That was kind of like way out of proportion.
I
but,
think that's a very conservative death toll estimate.
yeah, it was crazy.
Like it is New York
Crazy.
City in the midday.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be a lot of death.
Yeah. But I actually really liked everything around. I thought it was the best like Kryptonian origin story that they've ever done. It was much more interesting than the comic books or any of the other movies. I thought Jor-El and Zod were actually interesting, and I actually liked the Lois Lane relationship. I actually thought it was the only good Lois Lane relationship, and there was actually a whole show about that relationship, and I like this one the most. I liked a lot of things about I like a lot of things about that movie. The only thing about that movie that was really silly was the final fight where it's just absolutely gratuitously ridiculous. But it was visually appealing. It looked cool. It was a cooler mid-air fight than the last Matrix movie, which was a super dumb version of that fight.
The last
I
Matrix. They
forgot
only
about
made
that.
one Matrix movie.
No, they made two.
Don't you even fucking start.
They made 3.
They only made one.
They made 3 Matrix movies, and the last
listen.
Pretty
one,
sure the Matrix ended at to be continued. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
at any rate,
Whew, almost got upset.
yeah. At any rate, the
This is like you were sheltered by your parents,
Whew.
and like Old Yeller ends when they all just
Yes.
have dinner.
Exactly.
I refused to
Only
watch.
a 45-minute movie.
I actually don't know how well Batman vs Superman was because I refused to watch it on general principle. As soon as I saw who was playing Lex Luthor and what Doomsday
They
looked
both
like, I
have
was like, nope.
their mother's name is Martha.
Yeah, I saw all the memes and I was like, this looks as bad as I think it was.
Jeremy. Okay, guys, I have to push back on this. Guys, their mother's names are Martha. That is a fact from the comic books.
Well, I know, but that's.
I just love that they waited until like 2013 to point that out to everybody.
Oh my god.
Have we hit character bedrock in the DC universe?
think we-
All of our moms are named Martha. Yes, that is factually correct.
Also Martha. Also
Character
Martha.
bedrock. Yeah. Did you see the Godzilla meme that followed that movie?
Oh god, no.
It's Godzilla, like body slams King Kong into a mountain. And it's like the old 70s.
Mhm.
Like it looks like Power Rangers combat scene. And he's about to like crush him with this giant rock. And he's like, and then King Kong like leans forward. He's like, "Save Mothra." And he's like, "Why did you say that name?" Like, doesn't
Mothra.
know what to do. Did you say Mothra? It was so good.
That's good.
Oh.
I actually.
I mean, yeah, Batman vs Superman was fucking dumb, but like, the name of the movie was Batman vs Superman. What the fuck did you expect?
well, Batman.
That's like train versus rodent. Like, I don't understand.
Well,
Like-
Batman,
No, because every fucking DC fan masturbates to this mystery fight on who would win.
It's not
That's
a mystery.
The entire point. That's the entire point of the DC comic universe is who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman. Like,
Wrong.
shut the fuck up.
I would-
They've done it 100 times.
There
Get
is-
over it.
there is a really good comic. See, there was a really good comic made, I want to say in like the early 2000s. It was a really good comic called Batman and Superman. It was very interesting and fun to read. I really enjoyed that comic. And I'm sure this is what they're like trying to tap into with that. But by making it Batman versus Superman, and then like they were also trying to put some stuff in from, Mark Miller's redux of the Batman, the Dark Knight. And so they're trying to like take some comic stories that were popular with people because they were great standalone versions of those different stories, and they just try to kind of like smoosh them together and spread like bullshit over the top. It was so bad. Oh, and also just put the death of Superman in there for good measure. Like let's take 3 things that were popular in the DC universe and put them in the same movie at the same time. Well, of course it's going to be bullshit. It's going to make no fucking sense.
Let's also give Wonder Woman 3.5 minutes of screen time.
Right. Let's throw in Wonder
That'll
Woman.
explain everything. Yeah.
Let's throw in Gal Gadot there for a second. And you're like, well, what the fuck is going on? Like the movie had no fucking idea what was happening, and so no, it was doomed, and so I refused. I have watched all.
I actually didn't think it was that bad. Like, I think that movie is still better than like The Return of Superman.
Sure. I will go ahead.
It's not good, but it's a DC movie, so it's guaranteed to be shit.
I'm going to go out. I'm going to say something that's controversial yet brave.
I don't know about brave. Go ahead. We'll judge that.
I loved Kevin Spacey and Parker Posey as Lex Luthor and the idiot sidekick in Return of Superman. I thought they were the best Lex Luthor I've ever seen in anything, except for maybe now the new animated stuff. The new animated stuff has some awesome Lex Luthors in it. But
who's Parker Posey?
Parker Posey, it's his hench girl. She plays a hench girl in that movie, and she's amazing. Like Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor is a super smart, super brilliant, super millionaire, right? Super billionaire. And Parker Posey is like his assistant / henchwoman, and she's a complete idiot. They are wonderful together. The eye rolls from Kevin Spacey every time she opens her mouth are fantastic. I loved everything about their dynamic in that movie. It was the perfect kind of comic relief to that movie. I loved it. But
oh, I think I remember this woman. She was in Scream 3 and Blade Trinity.
Yeah, she was the person who
just add that to Superman Returns, and she's basically an Oscar winner.
Yeah, she was not in a lot of stuff, but I remember her because she has
stuff.
the first name as me. That's the only reason why I remember her name is because she was
Wow.
she was the first person that I remember. Like, oh, you have this same first name as me, because almost everyone I've ever met. I've now there's 80 fucking million Parkers, but at the time she was one of the only people I knew of in the whole world who had the same first name as me.
It's really hard. It's really hard to watch Superman anymore with Amazon Prime's The Boys it exists. Like, you can see what superpowers actually would do to society. Like, I feel like that's so much closer. And like a Superman / character that has all those powers and shit. Oh my god.
I would actually say even Invincible is more accurate to what actual superpowers would be like. Because like you would have like the virtuous types that would rise to the occasion. Actually, The Boys is pretty good too. Like a lot of the superheroes in The Boys are shitheads, but there's a handful that are like legitimately decent people.
Yeah,
that are trying to be heroes, or at least not trying to murder the entire planet. But yeah, I mean, it's just DC. It just so many of their characters are 2-dimensional. It's like you look at it from the point of view, it's like, well, I wanted to make this hero, so I made this hero, and then I wrote down the guy's name at some point. That's who he is, and you're like, I don't know if you know how to design a character, like a person in a world that interacts with other people. Anyway, we should probably get started, or we're gonna run late.
Okay.
You good to go, Parker?
Oh, I'm good.
Give me a thumbs up. You good? All right.
Toilet goes.
I actually think I messed up the quote earlier. I'm pretty sure it's a Korean toilet ghost, but I think I said Japanese.
You did. You did. We just stay with that.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
If you're gonna be wrong, commit. That's the
be
one thing
all
I've
the
learned
way
about
wrong.
being on the internet is even if you're wrong, stay true.
Full commit. It's fine.
Oh boy, that wasn't too bad.
No, I thought that turned out good. I like that one.
Yeah.
You think anybody will know we recorded this in January?
January. Oh my god. All right, come on. Let's click this thing. I got to work on
Yeah,
running.
we gotta go.
All right, you ready? All right.